In the city of Shanqing, a mother is telling her son that he is so lucky because he can sleep after filling his belly, and she even feels jealous since she lost many hours of sleep because of him. However, she emphasizes that as long as her son can grow up healthy, it will all be worth it. While being breastfed and receiving some energy points, the MC is still drinking and thinking that he reincarnated at this moment, being a newborn whose brain hasn't fully developed yet. But as soon as he completed 33 days of life, he awakened his system. And when he reached 3 months old, his parents were amazed to see him kicking his feet and thought that he clearly had a blessed physique, and that in the future, he could definitely become a great and powerful gene modifier. Lin Zikin receives a notification from his system informing him of an achievement in which he kicked his feet 10,000 times, and the reward is the biological attribute infinite evolution, meaning that as long as he continuously trains a part of his body, that part will grow infinitely stronger. But it cannot surpass the limits of a carbon-based life form. The MC reflects that at 3 months old, he completed his first system mission and can feel himself getting stronger little by little thanks to his infinite evolution ability. But he wonders what gene modifier and cyborg could mean, terms his father mentioned, and if perhaps they are like Spider-Man or even Iron Man. Time goes by, and as Lin Zikin reaches 4 months, he realizes he can already sit and crawl. But to avoid scaring his parents with his incredible abilities, he can only train at night when no one sees him. After reaching 5 months of life, he learned to walk, and when he completed 6 months, the MC knew that he could finally sit and crawl in front of his parents. That's when he saw news on TV about matters related to ferocious beasts, gene modifiers, and cyborgs joining forces to fight them. Then, for the first time, he realized that the Earth he was on was different from the one he knew before reincarnating. To be more precise, the Earth he currently lives on had undergone a mutation, and many terrifying and unknown creatures had appeared, generally called ferocious beasts. To fight against them, humanity forged 2 paths over the past decades. One is technological advancement, which uses technology to confront them, like cyborgs. The other is an advanced form of genetic modification that fuses the genes of ferocious beasts with those of humans to obtain their abilities and fight fire with fire. But Lin Zikin knows that luckily he has his own system and can grow stronger safely while staying hidden and evolving in this dangerous world. Until he sensed a presence and immediately turned to see what it was. His mother opened the door, and a woman introduced herself, saying her name was Shu Meng, and that she would be their new neighbor since she lived right next door, and brought a small welcoming gift. Then Shu Meng said she was with her husband, Shen Jianye, and her daughter, Shen Qinghan, and that it was a pleasure to meet them. The MC knew that the little girl would be his first friend in that world, but at that moment, he had no idea that their destinies would become so closely intertwined. After that, when he reached 7 months of age, he was already running and gaining attributes, as well as jumping and even talking to himself. So he knew that thanks to his infinite evolution ability, he managed to learn basic things like running, jumping, and talking at 7 months old. At 8 months, he could already do sit-ups and push-ups. But even though he only trained when his parents weren't around, he knew he couldn't hide everything forever. And that day, something unexpected happened. His mother caught him exercising. Right away, she began rubbing her eyes to see if she was seeing clearly because she saw her 8-month-old son doing sit-ups. However, when she looked forward, she saw her son sleeping and commented that she had been so focused on her novel that she thought she must be starting to have hallucinations from stress. The MC's mother was a novel author focused on a male audience. Lin Zichen thought he had managed to fool her and that he needed to be more careful from then on. A few days passed, and Zhang Wanxin shouted for her husband, saying something amazing had happened and that he should come see it. Lin Yansheng rushed to the room, worried something was wrong. While bathing the MC, she wanted to know how he had abs at only 8 months old. Lin Yansheng was puzzled, thinking about how his son had a huge appetite and now had a toned stomach. Then, he had an idea and asked his wife if Lin Zichen could be a 1 in a million prodigy, since he believed the boy clearly had a bright future ahead and would surely become a gene modifier or cyborg. The MC's father was also a novel author focused on a male audience. The MC knew his secret had almost been discovered and couldn't believe his father had such a dumb idea about him being a genius, thinking that having two novel authors as parents was really lucky. After taking a bath and watching TV, he knew he wasn't the only one in the mutant Earth he lived on, as a news report said that a talented boy with innate divine strength had appeared in an ancient martial arts family in the capital and could lift 20 kilograms with one hand at the age of 2. At that moment, Zhang Wanxin laughed and, caressing her son, said that he was also amazing and surely wouldn't lose to those prodigies from elite families. Lin Zichen, seeing the boy, thought his mother was really kind but wondered if he would be able to lift 20 kilograms easily when he turned 2. Thus, after some time, and when the MC turned 2 years old, he was excited because he had finally managed to stay hidden until that age, and with the help of his infinite evolution ability, he could now easily lift 20 kilograms with one hand. He got scared when he heard his mother calling him and asking where he was because Shanqing Han was there to play with him. Lin Zichen took a deep breath, dusted off his clothes, and, as he closed the door of the storage room where he had been, his eyes widened in surprise when he saw that Shanqing Han had grown and was asking if he wanted a candy. The MC thanked her and said he did, but thought that even though she was the same age as him, she still talked like a baby and was hard to understand. Because of the big difference in their mental ages, they didn't play together much since Shanqing Han always ate and slept while he used every moment to train. Still, he knew they always got along well and that she had the perfect weight to help him in his training, although he also knew that this weight had a small problem. He soon noticed something strange and immediately shouted for his mother, saying that Shanqing Han had peed again. When he turned 3 years old, he could lift 40 kilograms with one hand. Seeing a news report about a 4-year-old prodigy who could lift 30 kilograms with one hand, he knew he was already stronger despite being a year younger. However, the MC was puzzled when he saw in his system that his biological level was still normal, so he wondered how strong someone in Tier 2 could be and if it was beyond human limits. Having so many questions, the MC left home for the first time, which was also the first time he saw the outside world. The first place he went was the library, but since his parents didn't let him use electronic devices, he knew the library was the best place to find answers. When he arrived, he went the wrong way, and his mother shouted that the children's section was on the other side. As he picked up a certain type of book, his mother asked if he liked that kind of reading. Xu Meng smiled and commented that the MC had to be a genius. Meanwhile, Shanqing Han wanted to know if he wanted to eat cookies. He thanked her, but emphasized that he needed to read. Thus, Lin Zichen kept in mind that by reading, he began to understand how the world he was in, which had undergone a mutation, actually worked. According to ancient stone tablets found in mysterious ruins, the world is divided into 6 biological levels: normal, advanced, rare, epic, legendary, and mystical, each subdivided into 9 sublevels. Normal humans are at normal tier 1, and compared to these creatures, they are less than ants. He realized he needed to speed up his secret training or else he wouldn't stand a chance of surviving in this dangerous world. Then he received a system notification informing him that while reading a book, his spirit attribute had increased by 1 point, and he had received a mission to read a total of 100 million characters, having currently read 10,000. The reward would be the biological attribute, Heavenly Root of Wisdom. The MC was thrilled, thinking he could now train both his body and mind. Thus, while turning 4 years old, he didn't take a single day off and continued reading and training at the same time. At 4 years old, his kindergarten life began, and his teacher was Miss Jiang Mei. Gradually, after entering kindergarten, he advanced to normal tier 2 and could lift 80 kilograms with one hand. He could also jump 1.5 meters high and run 100 meters in just 11 seconds. Knowing that even for an adult, that would be impressive, let alone a child. But he also knew that not everything was easy, because, as the old saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility, and his childhood friend, Shanqing Han, was being bullied. Thus, the MC knew he couldn't stand still, so he jumped on the teacher's desk and shouted loudly for everyone to be quiet. He then made it clear that anyone who dared to bully his friend would end up wetting their bed all night. Immediately, All the children started crying and calling for their parents, but Shanqing was amazed by her friend. The system then informed him that his dominant presence made everyone in the classroom fear him, and because of that, the MC unlocked the title Kindergarten King, with the next mission being to maintain the title for 9 years while studying. Lin Zikin couldn't believe that just by shouting he had triggered a mission, and that even before finishing one, he already had another, realizing he could take on multiple missions simultaneously. 6 months later, the MC completed his reading mission and obtained the Heavenly Root of Wisdom attribute. Since then, his learning ability had reached the maximum a human could achieve. With that, time flew by, and soon he was almost 7 years old, graduating from kindergarten. During the holidays before starting elementary school, he continued training, lifting an incredible 200 kilograms with one hand and jumping over 2 meters high. He finally managed to run 100 meters in less than 8 seconds. Lin Zikin knew that with the benefits of the Heavenly Root of Wisdom, he could study everything from elementary school ahead of time during his free time, so he hoped to unlock the title Top Student of Elementary soon, which was still locked. After some time, in the city of Shanghai, the MC's elementary life finally began. Since he was already studying high school and college-level material, elementary competitions were a breeze. But he knew the prizes were just bonuses, because his main goal was to unlock the Top Student of Elementary title as quickly as possible. At school, whenever he had time, Lin Zikin tutored Shen Qinghan privately. The MC knew that even if she wasn't very talented, Shen Qinghan made up for it by being obedient and diligent, and by the end of the first semester, her grades had already become the second highest in the class. To unlock the title faster, besides studying, the MC actively participated in all the school sports events, breaking every record. But just when Lin Zikin thought he would repeat this routine every day and live a peaceful elementary school life, a special transfer student arrived in his class. The reason she was called special was that he could sense a faint aura in her that didn't belong to a human. As soon as Bai Shu enters the room, all the students keep watching her. Qinghan calls the MC and comments that Bai Shu's hair is so beautiful that it even looks like snowflakes in winter. But he thinks he is not in the mood to answer Qinghan. After Bai Shu sits in her chair, the MC thinks that he is more worried about knowing why the new student has an aura that does not seem human. Then he wonders if she could be a genificator or maybe a descendant of genificators. After that, in the last few days, Bai Shu did not talk to anyone, and as soon as class starts, she puts her head on the desk and sleeps, besides almost never going to the bathroom. In the beginning, everyone was curious about her, but as time passed, they stopped paying attention, and the classroom returned to its usual silence. Until, 1 month later, this silence was broken once again, but this time, Bai Shu started to secrete some kind of white liquid. It is not clear what the liquid is, but it is clear that its smell is horrible, and while she acted normally, the other students wanted to know what was happening to her, until one of the students pours some water over Bai Shu, saying that he is such a nice guy and that he would help her wash a little. Bai Shu closed her fist tightly, clenched her teeth, and began trembling with anger. While she cried in anger and the students laughed at her face, Lin Zikin wanted to know what was happening because he always thought Bai Shu was dangerous. But Qinghan wanted to know if he was not going to help Bai Shu. The MC gets up from the chair and answers that he will see what is happening, but keeps in mind that he still does not know what Bai Shu is. Yet in the end, he thinks she does not seem to be that dangerous and that, at least for now, she is just another little girl suffering bullying. Therefore, Lin Zikin places his hand on Guan Chun's shoulder and, with a sinister look, asks him to dry Bai Shu's desk immediately. Feeling the MC's strength squeezing his shoulder, the student answers that he will dry it and that there will be no more problems. And not only Guan Chun, but also his friends who were laughing at Bai Shu's face, start cleaning her desk and think that the MC is not only good with books, but also with fights, and that he is famous at school. Then Lin Zikin calls everyone who was laughing at Bai Shu and tells them to apologize. The students get scared and soon go to Bai Shu's desk, apologize, and emphasize that they will never laugh at her again. Bai Shu calls Lin Zikin and Qinghan and thanks them for the help. Qinghan comments that it is not a problem because classmates must help each other. After that, the MC knew that from that day on, Qinghan started getting close to the white-haired girl and dragged him along with her. And whenever she had a tasty snack, the first thing she did was share it with Bai Shu, until Bai Shu wanted to know if her smell was really that bad, and if they were disgusted by her. Then she apologizes and emphasizes that it is not that she does not trust them. Then she explains that since she was little, she has been hated and despised by everyone around her, and because of that, having someone by her side for the first time makes her very happy, as it even feels unreal, like a dream, until she is surprised to hear that this is not a dream. Qinghan comments that she knows what it is like to go through this, so she would never feel disgust for her friend, and that also, as long as Bai Shu wants, they can be friends forever. Immediately, Bai Shu runs and hugs Qinghan and, while crying with happiness, thanks her several times, until she remembers something. She calls the MC and Qinghan and comments that they always shared their snacks with her and are her friends, so she wants to give them something too. Therefore, she says that the beast fang necklace in her hand was a birthday present her mother gave her last year, but she wants to give it to them and hopes they like it very much, also hoping they stay friends forever. After taking the fang necklace, Qinghan shouts that they will be friends for all eternity. After that, when Qinghan thought that this friendship would last forever, something unexpected happened, and as soon as she received the news that her friend was transferred, Qinghan wanted to know if that was really true. Lin Zichen answers yes, and says he saw her fill out the transfer papers with his own eyes. Then, he remembers when it happened, with a guy who looked very powerful apologizing for causing trouble to the principal, who in turn said it was nothing, and that the paperwork had already been resolved, and Bai Shu's information would be kept confidential. The MC had in mind that he knew Bai Shu's identity was not simple in the end, and after that day, he never saw her again, and thought she might have been just someone who passed through their childhood. However, compared to his friend's departure, Lin Zichen knew the events approaching would be what would truly surprise him. And one day, while giving his mother a massage, he wanted to know if the pressure was good. She answered it was perfect and said she had been writing her novel all day, but thanks to God, she had her son to give her a massage because she already felt much better. Lin Zichen had learned professional massage techniques thanks to the benefits of the celestial root of wisdom, until a news report starts playing on the TV, announcing that they had some big and great news, since it was another incredible achievement of the Prodigy of Kyoto, because at only 10 years old, he successfully fused with the gene of a terrifying beast and can now lift a 500-kilogram stone with one hand. Seeing this report, the MC was very surprised, thinking that the boy had already managed to perform gene fusion. At that moment, the MC's father appears, wanting to know if it is the Prodigy of Kyoto again, because he is always on TV, so he wants to know if they are trying to turn him into an advertising influencer. Then he says that the boy is from an ancient martial arts family from Kyoto, and that they probably have advanced gene fusion technology. Zhang Wanxin comments that even so, she thinks it is no reason to use their own child as a hamster. Yansheng explains that for martial arts families, the interests of the family always come before individuals, and that this is why they became a martial arts family. While the MC's parents argue about the matter, he thinks that the Prodigy of Kyoto could lift 100 kilograms with one hand and, after gene fusion, can lift 500 kilograms, being a 5-fold increase. He knows he is only 8 years old and can already lift 300 kilograms with one hand without any gene fusion. So, he has in mind that when he stops to think better, he knows his potential is even greater. After thinking about that and thinking that way, the MC was feeling very confident about his future until seeing the next news and learning what it really is to be commanded by fear, since the TV was announcing that a serious attack by a terrifying beast occurred in a neighboring country, and based on eyewitnesses, it seemed to be an attack involving terrifying giant rats, with people terrified begging for help so they would not be devoured by the beasts, but without help, they were eliminated instantly. The report announced that the investigation confirmed that heretics were behind the recent attack of terrifying rats, causing chaos from the shadows, and the land of the rising sun was asking for the support of other countries to help exterminate those heretics together. The MC thought that this was the infamous cult, an organization against humanity founded by traitors of humanity, and that for their own gain, They became dogs of the terrifying beasts, launching attacks around the world. Then, he reflects that fortunately, he was born in a powerful country, being in a relatively stable environment where he can train in secret and become much stronger, until he becomes scared when hearing a very loud noise and soon wonders if he heard sonic booms outside. Then he runs, opens the window, and seeing so many high-ranking cyborgs outside, he really wants to know why there are so many so late at night, because he hopes nothing bad is happening. The next morning, the MC is calling Qinghan to hurry or they will be late. She apologizes for making him wait. However, Lin Zixin is surprised to notice something. Then he goes to Qinghan, and upon touching the necklace she received from Bai Shu, he says that the beast fang is shining a lot. Then, he wants to know if it could be the fang of a terrifying beast, so he thinks that is why he felt a slight inhuman aura coming from Bai Shu, and that apparently it must have been because of the fang necklace she wore. But the fang's glow lasted only a moment, so they did not think much about it. But with this glowing fang incident and the cyborgs he saw flying the previous night, the MC had a bad feeling that something was going to happen. And, while they were walking down the street on their way to school, they passed by a woman who commented that they looked like adorable children, so she wanted to know if the two of them were siblings. Qinghan smiles and answers that they are not siblings, but childhood friends and best friends. The redhead, upon hearing that they are childhood friends, says she is jealous of that because she wishes she had a childhood friend too. But she wants to know if they are going to school alone and where their parents are. Qinghan was going to explain, but the MC interrupts her, grabs her arm, and asks her to stop talking. Then, while pulling her, he emphasizes that they will be late if they stay there talking. After arriving at school, Lin Zixin asks Qinghan not to answer everything a stranger asks. She answers that it is fine and that she will not do that next time. As soon as class ends, while heading back home, Qinghan comments that the place they are passing through is very quiet and even a little scary. Lin Zixin says that the area will be demolished next week, and that is why everything is so quiet. Until the woman from earlier appears again and asks Sheng to leave what they were doing because she found the children. The MC quickly stands in front of Qinghan and thinks that he took another path home to avoid going where they went earlier, so he cannot believe the woman followed them. The redhead calls out to them and says that she has many delicious candies at her house, so she wants to know if they want to go get some. Sheng comments that the redhead likes to talk too much. Then he rushes toward the MC and Qinghan, shouting that he just needs to put them to sleep and take them away. He also emphasizes that he is in a big hurry to sell them. Lin Zixin does not stand still, prepares himself, and throws a punch that hits the man's stomach directly, making him spit blood, and due to the MC's strength, the big guy is thrown hard against a wall. The redhead is shocked, and, while watching Sheng struggle to get up, she thinks that what she just saw is impossible, and wonders how a child sent an adult flying with a single punch. However, the MC takes advantage of the redhead's distraction and charges at her with full force, delivering a powerful punch right to the middle of her face. After that, he picks up a brick from the ground and, while walking toward them, thinks that apparently there are no cameras around and that to avoid future problems, he knows it is better to eliminate them. However, he thinks that he does not want to do that, but he believes that if they tell anyone what happened, his powers will be exposed and his plan to get strong in secret will be ruined. Until a strong tremor begins to occur, and Lin Zixin, surprised, wonders why an earthquake is happening. But a terrifying giant rat appears right in front of him, and the creature opens its huge mouth with enormous sharp teeth and devours the redhead who was unconscious on the ground. Then, while he runs to Qinghan and thinks that this is not good, the giant rat grabs Sheng with its claws. Lin Zixin picks Qinghan up in his arms and runs at high speed, saying they need to go to a safe place immediately. While they keep running, someone flies past them heading toward the giant rat. Lin Zixin stops running instantly and wonders if it is a cyborg, who then positions herself in front of the terrifying creature. The cyborg begins charging an intense power in her fist and activates her missile barrage, which heads toward the giant rat, and a huge explosion occurs. The creature continues being attacked by the cyborg's missile barrage and ends up becoming stunned. The cyborg seizes the chance and delivers a fatal attack to the giant rat's throat. After that, while watching TV, The MC keeps thinking that the cyborg he saw earlier must not be very high level, because he saw that she used tranquilizer missiles to weaken the giant rat and still needed 7 minutes of close combat to finish it. However, he has in mind that giant rats are complicated to deal with, and that adults can grow up to 3 meters in length, and their biological level can reach the normal of Tier 5. So he concludes that it is a good thing he managed to escape the creature. Therefore, he goes to train, thinking that apparently he needs to increase the intensity of his training, and while doing weighted squats, his vitality, leg muscle strength, and squat proficiency increase by 2 points. And as the days go by, he knew that even with the threats of the terrifying rats, life continued the same, and soon Qinghan and he would celebrate their 9th birthday. And after both made their birthday wishes, they exchanged birthday gifts. Then he had in mind that thanks to the celestial root of wisdom, he learned how to carve a wooden hairpin in a single night to give Qinghan as a gift, and she was very happy with the present and thanked the MC immensely. And in the blink of an eye, they graduated from elementary school and started high school. With that, the MC received a mission in which he needs to dominate for 9 years while studying. The reward will be a biological attribute of the survival of the fittest, in addition to the titles of Unlocked Kindergarten King and Unlocked Elementary School Boss, leaving only the High School Emperor title to be unlocked. Lin Zichen reflects that just thinking about it makes him excited, because he is so close to unlocking the High School Emperor title, and then will obtain the biological attribute of the survival of the fittest. And after some time, during vacation, in order to unlock the title soon and increase his strength, he began doing extremely intense training every day. And finally, right before vacation ended, his biological level finally reached the normal of Tier 3. Then, his physical attributes also increased greatly, and now he can lift 700 kilograms with one hand, do a 4-meter vertical jump, and run 100 meters in 6 seconds. But he keeps thinking about how strong the Prodigy of Kyoto might be, because coincidentally, there was a news report about the Kyoto genius the night before school resumed, in which the report said that at 14 years old, the Prodigy of Kyoto, who fused with giant ant genes, could easily lift weights of 2 tons with one hand. The MC reflects that he knows giant ant genes can increase one's strength by 4 to 8 times. Even if his strength increased 4 times, his true strength is that of being able to lift 400 kilograms with one hand, which means he is stronger than the Prodigy of Kyoto. So he knows that if he manages to obtain a gene fusion in the future, he cannot even imagine how strong he may become. And after some more time, the MC's high school life finally began, and because he was the best student in the city during elementary school, the principals of the best schools in the city asked the MC to enroll in their schools, and in the end, he accepted the invitation from Shanghai School on the condition that Qinghan could be in the same class as him. With that, during his enrollment, the principal and his teacher welcomed him, saying they were counting on the MC to bring honor to the school, and after a few short introductions, the MC made an excuse and left. Then the MC was thinking that the reason he accepted going to Shanghai School was because it has excellent sports centers. So Qinghan and he planned to play badminton before classes started. Qinghan was very excited to start the match right away, so she wastes no time and hits the shuttlecock, launching a fairy curve shot. However, someone grabs the shuttlecock, and with it in hand, she wants to know who the MC and Qinghan are, and if by any chance they are new there, because the court they are on is reserved for senior students. The friends of the guy who grabbed the shuttlecock go to Qinghan and say they think she can stay and go against them. Qinghan says that she knows that even if they are her seniors, they must follow the rules, because she and the MC arrived there first. At that moment, the MC starts getting nervous and immediately tells all of them to get away from Qinghan. He also makes it clear that he does not need to explain the rule that whoever arrives first keeps the court. The guy with the cap wants to know who cares about that rule, then emphasizes that even if the Jade Emperor had arrived there first, the court is his that day. Lin Zichen takes a shuttlecock from his pocket, tosses it upward, jumps, and while hitting the shuttlecock with great force, he makes it absolutely clear that from that moment on, his rules are the only ones that must be followed. With that said, the shuttlecock shoots forward at full speed, The guy with the cap is shocked to see the shuttlecock break his racket as if it were nothing. Therefore, everyone is left open-mouthed, wanting to know who the freshman is and whether he is even human, because they believe that if the shuttlecock had hit any of them, it would have been the end for anyone. Then they quickly go to the MC, apologize, and emphasize that from that moment on they understand the new rules. So they leave at full speed, terrified. And after that, Lin Zixin thought that maybe, because rumors of the incident had spread, no one else tried to bother them. The MC knew that besides the school being bigger and having better sports centers, high school was practically the same as elementary school, since he had finished studying everything from high school a long time ago, and during classes, he basically read any book he found interesting. And after training at night, he learned various skills thanks to the internet, because with the help of the celestial root of wisdom, he gradually became good at cooking, photographing, driving, swimming, surviving in the wilderness, and many other athletic skills. And to unlock the high school emperor title as quickly as possible, he not only placed first in every subject in the school, but also represented the school in several national high school competitions. And with that, he won gold, silver, and bronze medals in mathematics, physics, chemistry, and programming. But he did not place first in all of them to keep a low profile. Thus, 6 months passed in the blink of an eye, and, unexpectedly, the title was not unlocked. But because the things he did were so impressive, he gained many fans. However, he had no interest in paying attention to them, since besides teaching Qinghan, he put all his focus on the upcoming school sports festival, because he thinks that if he is the best in the sports festival, it should be enough to unlock the title. And as soon as the day of the festival arrived, the MC this time entered only 3 sports festival events, being shot put, jumping, and running. Lin Zixin knew that these 3 events represented strength, jumping ability, and speed, so he needed to be the best in these 3 categories because it meant dominating all events that required a good physique. But even though he held back in the competition to avoid overdoing it, it was still very easy to take first place. And then he felt a power spreading through his body, and he finally unlocked the high school emperor title, and the system informed him that his academic and athletic achievements were a shock to the entire school, leaving all the other students eating dust. And because of that, the MC unlocked his title, and the biological attribute of the survival of the fittest was acquired. After that, Lin Zixin knew that if someone is a predator, the vital essence is above all things, and the person can devour the vital essence of other creatures to contribute to their own evolution. But he questions what exactly this vital essence is, until he remembers something, calls Qinghan, and asks if he can take her beast fang for a moment. As soon as she hands it over, the MC becomes very surprised, since his system is warning that he devoured a bit of the vital essence of the abyssal giant butterfly, and the assimilation with the abyssal giant butterfly is at 1%. And that when the assimilation reaches 100%, the MC will be able to evolve and gain some of the traits or abilities of the beast. Knowing this, he wonders if the fang on the necklace is really from a butterfly. With that, later at home, he thinks that now that he knows the name of the exotic beast from earlier, he might be able to find something on the internet, but ends up finding nothing about it. So he concludes that he will have to look for information about the beast by himself. After taking the necklace that Bai Shu gave him, he thinks that it is a good thing she gave him 2 fangs of the creature, so the system immediately warns that he has devoured a bit of the vital essence of the abyssal giant butterfly, reaching 2% assimilation completion rate. Lin Zixin takes a deep breath and, knowing that he only managed to devour 2% of the butterfly's vital essence, concludes that he will have to find another way to assimilate it, since there is not much vital essence in the beast's fang. Then, the next day after school, the MC, to help with his training, began going to and from school with Qinghan every day by bicycle, since if they encounter any giant rat again, he will be able to get Qinghan somewhere safe very quickly, until, while riding the bicycle, the MC hears someone calling him. A guy stops them and introduces himself, saying he is Professor Guo from the school's martial arts team, then says he heard that the MC had the best sports festival performance in the entire history of the school. Next, very excited, He emphasizes that he would like to invite him to join the school's martial arts team, also stressing that Lin Zikin's talent for sports is even better than his academic skills, and that if he wants, he can visit the team to decide. While the professor walks away explaining that the martial arts team is in room C of the school gym, the MC thinks that the professor talks so fast that he did not even have the chance to say no. After that, the afternoon arrives, and, in his room, the MC is eliminating a creature with the palm of his hand, then thinks that the cockroach and the mosquito he just killed did not activate his predator ability, so he concludes that it seems only ferocious beasts have enough vital essence to be devoured. Thus, he takes his phone, the bicycle, and heads into the city thinking that, to confirm his theory, he decided to go to the supermarket that sells beast meat. They quickly arrive at the lower district supermarket, and, upon finding it, Lin Zichen observes the options and thinks that there are many kinds of beast meat there, but all of them are sealed, and because of that, if he cannot touch them, he will not be able to confirm his theory until he turns around after hearing someone announcing that they are selling fresh beast meat. The MC sees that the butcher ahead is selling beast meat without any packaging, so he decides to go there to take a look. As he approaches, his eyes shine with happiness, but he thinks Qinghan must be confused since he did not explain things properly to her because he wants to test it right away. However, while he thinks that the truth is right in front of him, he begins trembling with anxiety. But as soon as he touches one of the pieces of meat, an energy begins to come out of it, and he concludes that it is exactly as he imagined, since beast meat has strong vital essence. Then, while he celebrates, Qinghan becomes confused and wonders why he is so excited just for touching a piece of meat. Next, she decides to ask the MC if the meat he is seeing is different from normal ones. Lin Zishen gets embarrassed and answers that not much, just a bit fresher, but wants to know if she wants to touch it too. Qinghan gets a little scared and replies that no, because she trusts him. The MC turns around and says that since they are there, he thinks it is better to buy some and test everything at his house. While observing some varieties of monster meat, he thinks that Qinghan being in shock does not surprise him. After all, beast meat is not cheap, since even the cheapest one, ghost squid meat, costs almost 1,000 yuans per kilo. So he shows it to Qinghan and says that they will take ghost squid. She becomes very surprised and tells the MC that the meat he picked is very expensive, then wants to know if he does not think it is better to ask his aunt before buying it. He places his hand on her head and asks her to relax, then says that his mother had told him to bring a lot home. Next, he says that his mother mentioned that since they were going to buy beast meat, she thought it would be better to buy enough so that Qinghan's family could also eat. As soon as he says this, he explains that his mother is going to prepare a beast meat banquet for their families. Lin Zichen, as soon as he takes the meat to the counter to pay, keeps in mind that besides needing to share the meat, he has another concern, which is that if he absorbs the vital energy, it might spoil the meat. But he knows that for now, this is only a theory, though he still needs to test it with the meat they are bringing. After paying, the market employee thanks them for their preference and asks them to come back often, but the MC thinks that it was very expensive and that he does not even know when he will be able to buy it again. While going back home, it was already past 9 at night when he bought the meats, and since the MC knew things had been very chaotic lately, they went straight home. However, he could not hold himself until he got home to test his theory, and as soon as he touched the ghost squid tentacle, he could already feel an energy. And then the system informs that he devoured a bit of the ghost squid's essence. And, while feeling the creature's power entering his body, the system also informs that the assimilation with the ghost squid was at 0.1%. Thus, after testing and proving that his theory was correct, the MC continues on his way and reflects that devouring 1 or 2 tails of ghost squid meat released only 0.1% of assimilation. So, he thinks that based on that, he needs to devour at least 1,000 tails to reach 100%. But if 500 grams cost 998 yuans, he needs around 100,000 yuans in total. He also keeps in mind that the ghost squid's ability is dissolving in water, so he considers that if he manages to gain that power, the price of 1 million yuans would be nothing, not to mention that it is the cheapest beast meat he can get. Then he decides that he needs to find a way to make money. since that amount is far too big to ask his parents for, until he remembers that he bought the meat to test and wanted to know if it would spoil if he absorbed the vital essence. But he soon sees that the meat is in perfect condition and absolutely nothing happened. So while thinking that apparently absorbing the vital essence does not spoil the meat, he absorbs the vital essence from the meat again, reaching 3% of the ghost squid assimilation completion rate, until Ching-han warns the MC that someone is in front. He stops the bicycle immediately and, in the middle of some people, apologizes and says it was unintentional because he was distracted with something. Completely embarrassed, Lin Zikin thinks that he was so focused on absorbing the essence that he forgot to look at the road, but he wonders why the bicycle lane is so crowded. Ching-han asks him to look ahead, then wants to know if that is not Professor Zhang Mei being attacked by a guy, who in turn tells everyone not to come closer or he will kill her right there. The police are already on the scene, and the negotiator tells the man that he is surrounded, so he should stay calm and lower the dagger. Next, the negotiator asks Bing not to shoot thoughtlessly, since the target is too close to the hostage, and he thinks the man must have experience, as he is using the teacher as a shield and constantly moving, and that is why he believes a wrong shot could injure the hostage. Bing emphasizes that if they take too long to do something, he fears the hostage may be in danger, so he wants to know if they can try using a sedative. The negotiator replies that no, and explains that a sedative is too obvious, because before it took effect, he thinks it could provoke the criminal into doing something extreme, until someone picks up a stone from the ground and throws it with full force, passing by the police officers and hitting the bandit's hand hard, making him scream in pain and drop the knife, as well as the teacher. So the negotiator takes the chance and shouts, ordering everyone to act immediately. The police quickly immobilize the bandit on the ground. Ching-han wants to know if it was the MC who threw the stone. He replies yes, but asks her to stay quiet, then calls her so they can leave quickly and says that he will explain what happened later. However, the negotiator shouts, asking both of them to stop immediately, and asks if it was one of them who threw the stone at the bandit. Very embarrassed, Lin Zikin replies that it was not them, and, while they leave quickly, the negotiator finds all of this strange, then wonders why someone would not admit to doing a good deed. Next, he comments that he thinks the boy did not know he could have received a reward for his courage. But the MC hears this, and immediately runs back to the negotiator, then says that he just remembered it was him who threw the stone, but thinks he did not want to expose himself, yet the money is even more important. The negotiator asks the MC to accompany him to file the report, and that afterward, he will help him receive the reward. Thus, Lin Zichen and Ching-han informed their families that they were going to the police station to give testimony. The MC left his bicycle locked in the square and got into the car to receive his first money as the brave one. He assumed nothing would go wrong, but in the end, things did go wrong, since the bandit began transforming into something sinister. And quickly he turned into a giant rat, and the police officers began shouting that the bandit was a heretic after all. The transformed bandit jumps on top of the policewoman, and the negotiator orders all platoons over the radio to open fire on the giant rat, but stresses that they must be careful because they also need to protect the civilians. As the police begin shooting at the creature, the negotiator calls the headquarters on the radio and reports that a giant rat has appeared in the west square of Zhangge, and that, according to their preliminary analysis, the heretic fused with giant rat genes, so he thinks they will not be able to handle it and will need reinforcements. At that moment, the MC grabs the teacher and Ching-han and, while running away with them, apologizes, but makes it clear they need to escape immediately. Lin Ziken keeps running and, looking back, comments that thank God the heretic is not following them, but that they still need to get out of there, until they see someone rushing past them, going straight toward the creature, landing a powerful kick right in the middle of its face and sending it flying. The cyborg begins charging her laser cannon and fires a powerful blast in the creature's direction, hitting it directly and eliminating it within seconds with the powerful attack. The MC is completely shocked witnessing such power coming from the cyborg. Next, he breathes in relief and comments that it is a good thing the attack did not hit his bicycle, or he would end up suffering a loss, since he keeps in mind that he really needs money and cannot lose anything right now. The teacher comments that it is good they are safe in the end, until the MC remembers something and ends up seeing that the beast meat he bought spoiled. And when he picks it up, he concludes that apparently absorbing the vital essence does make the meat spoil, but it just takes a little while for it to happen. So he knows he needs a good excuse to explain why the meat spoiled. Thus, he throws the meat hard on the ground and shouts, saying it is all the heretic's fault, since the cyborg's attack was so powerful it even burned the meat. Ching Han tells him it is okay because it is just meat. With that, the MC knew they would walk home, but because of the captain's request, they ended up going in the patrol car to the station to give their statements. But what they did not expect was that the heretic's body, after being incinerated by a laser cannon, would still leave a pile of ashes behind, and the smell was very strong. However, Lin Zikin realizes that there was still a bit of vital essence in that fang, so he wonders if there could also be some in the body, and if he could absorb the giant rat gene from the charred corpse. Then, he concludes that there is only one way to know, and immediately touches the carbonized body and feels something. The system informs him that he devoured a bit of the giant rat's vital essence, reaching 5% assimilation. The MC notices that he absorbed a good amount and reflects that it seems the more recent the death, the greater the amount of vital energy absorbed. Until a guard asks the MC to stop and wait, since he is not supposed to be messing with the charred body. He asks the officer not to misunderstand him and says he was just sitting for too long and needed to stretch. After arriving at the station, Lin Zichen knew it was easy to fool Officer Bing, but with the captain it was different. And after he said that he had already arranged everything for the MC to receive the reward for his bravery, he wanted to know the real truth, because at the distance the MC was, and with so little lighting, he wants to know how a high school student managed to precisely hit the heretic's hand with a small stone. Lin Zikin says that he thinks maybe it is because he always trains throwing with his right hand. Hearing this leaves the captain intrigued as he looks directly at the MC, until the MC's mother and father arrive at the station, and he wants to know why they came, since they could have gone home on their own. Zhang Wanxin runs to her son and hugs him, wanting to know if he is really all right. Lin Zichen asks his mother to relax and says he is fine, and even received a reward for his courage. Very worried, she asks her son to promise that next time there is any danger, he is to run far away to a safe place, since all she wants is to see him grow up safely and in great condition. The MC is surprised hearing this from his mother, and, as they leave, asks her again not to worry, because he promises he will always protect himself before anything else. Until, while leaving the station, the MC hears some officers saying that the rat god cult is becoming more active and that apparently they are now infiltrating universities, mainly looking for students who cannot legally obtain genifier qualifications. He also hears that the person who was shot the previous day was a liberal arts student from Guangyan University and that he was brainwashed by the rat god cult, so they need to eliminate every one of those damn cultists. But they still think this would only be temporary, as they need to go to the root of the problem and eliminate the self-proclaimed Rat King. The MC becomes intrigued by everything he heard and decides to look up some information on the internet, then discovers that the cult's main base is in the city of Shanghai and that most of its members are outlaws, and their activities have increased in the current year, until he becomes very scared by something he just found online and immediately wonders if the Rat King really wants to evolve into a higher form of life by forcing his followers to gather tons of evolution materials. Worried about this, he also wonders if this so-called Rat King has developed intelligence. And as soon as he looks out the window, he sees a rat larger than a cat, and immediately wonders if it has something to do with the Rat King. Then, he takes a deep breath and thinks that it cannot be, since he has in mind that this is the southern zone and that it is normal for rats the size of cats to appear. However, he realizes that Ching Han has been very quiet since leaving the station and becomes worried. He observes her sweating and trembling a lot and wonders if she is doing what she used to do again, since he knows that whenever she got nervous or scared, Ching Han could not hold it in, just like when she was a child. But he wonders why he always thought that this was connected to some unknown potential. After arriving home and explaining what happened, his mother is shocked, wanting to know if the MC really lost the meat. A bit embarrassed, He tries to explain that it was an emergency, since he could not worry about the meat and ended up dropping it somewhere. Zhang Wanxin takes a deep breath, asks her son to forget about it, and emphasizes that as long as he is safe, that is all that matters. Lin Zixin feels very relieved, thinking he managed to fool his mother, but his father comments that he will go out to see if he can find the lost meat. The MC is shocked and asks his father not to go out because it is very dangerous. Lin Yansheng says that everything will be fine since he is a fearless and tough porter. The MC stresses that he thinks the meat must already be spoiled. His father wants to know how he knows that, and Lin Zixin replies that he is just deducing based on how long the meat stayed out of the fridge. Meanwhile, at the police station, the captain, while smoking a cigarette, is still very intrigued, wondering how a student managed to throw a stone with such force, until he becomes surprised because he sees a huge rat right in front of him on top of the cabinet. The creature quickly jumps, and the captain grabs his gun and begins firing at the rat. The next day at the university, the MC is thinking that compared to the Rat Man and the Cyborg from the day before, he still seems too weak, because it appears he needs to quickly find a way to make money and complete the assimilation with the ghost squid. But he knows that relying only on school prizes will take too long. So, he begins considering becoming a study influencer, doing live streams teaching and selling study materials, but soon changes his mind and discards the idea, since even though he knows it would bring fast money, it would be too attention-grabbing, until he stops to think more carefully and concludes that he misunderstood something. Thus, he reflects that in the world he lives in, full of genifiers and cyborgs, martial abilities attract more attention than academic ones, and that martial arts competition prizes are much larger than those for other subjects. So he thinks that apparently it is time to take action. Later, in Gymnasium Court C, Professor Guo is having his coffee and is startled because the MC appears out of nowhere calling him. But the professor quickly turns around excited to see who it is, and immediately wants to know if Lin Zixin is there to join, or just to learn more about the martial arts team. Lin Zixin quietly asks the professor if by joining the martial arts team, he will be able to participate in the city's martial arts competitions, and if the prize amounts are high. Guo replies yes, and emphasizes that the prizes are not small, since each one is worth at least tens of thousands. Thus, the MC grabs the professor's hand and says he has already decided and that from that day on, he is officially part of the martial arts team. Guo smiles and welcomes him to the team. Next, he shouts for everyone to gather and informs them that they will have a new member joining them. Then, he says he is sure everyone has already heard of Lin Zixin, the great champion of the school festival, since he will be joining the martial arts team, and for that reason, he wants everyone to introduce themselves. The members quickly begin introducing themselves, and the MC does too, but asks everyone to go easy on him. After that, since the MC has never trained martial arts before, Professor Guo begins demonstrating basic punching and kicking techniques and, after showing them, tells Lin Zixin that it may look simple but is actually very difficult, since even little Li, the fastest learner, took a week to learn what he showed. So he asks the MC to try. Lin Zixin prepares himself and activates his divine martial illumination technique sent by the heavens, which replicates the professor's movements, and then the system informs that Lin Zixin is training fist techniques, granting him one more point in vitality, hand muscle strength, hand dexterity, and fist proficiency. And as soon as he begins training kicks, the system informs that he is training kicking techniques, also gaining one more point in vitality, leg muscle strength, leg dexterity, and kick proficiency. The professor is left speechless, saying that what he is seeing is impossible, and while he continues watching the MC practice, he wants to know how he learned just by looking once. With shining eyes and carefully observing each of Lin Zixin's movements, he wonders if he might be a one-in-a-million martial arts prodigy. After night falls, at the MC's house, his mother calls him and asks him to grab the bowls so they can eat soon. He quickly appears with the bowl in hand, and excited, wants to know what they will eat. His mother says it will be ghost squid, which he wanted so much. As soon as he sits down, Lin Zixin takes a deep breath of the food's aroma and says, "The smell is amazing." His mother tells him not to just smell it, since he should eat while it is still hot. The MC wastes no time and tastes it. Jiang Wanxin wants to know what he thinks. Lin Zixin says he already expected this from the best cook in the world. She says it is good. He eats a lot because she bought more than a kilo of that meat, until the system informs that the MC devoured a bit of the ghost squid's vital essence, reaching 3% assimilation, so he concludes that eating it directly also works, and that if he had known that, he would not have done what he did earlier. At that moment, on TV, a report is showing saying the genius girl shocks the nation, since at only 14 years old she fused with an energy reactor, becoming the youngest cyborg in history, and that, when activated, the reactor allows her to lift a 2-ton car with one hand, run 100 meters in only 3 seconds, and have a vertical jump of 8 meters. The MC becomes intrigued by this, and thinks that, comparing her with the Prodigy of Kyoto, he wants to know who is stronger, cyborgs or genifiers, until another news segment begins where a tragedy occurred as police captain He Chun-shan suffered a tragic death at 11 o'clock the previous night in his office, and security camera footage indicates he was devoured by a giant rat that infiltrated the station. Lin Zixin becomes very surprised upon hearing this, and immediately wonders if it could be one of the giant rats he saw the previous day, then concludes that he needs to intensify his training as quickly as possible. After that, after a period of training, he can now run 100 meters in 4.6 seconds, and his current vertical jump is 5.51 meters, and he can even lift 1 ton with one hand. He also trained martial arts, and hopes to improve soon to participate in tournaments. The next day, the MC went to the gym to study and practice martial arts, and Qinghan accompanied him out of curiosity, until a girl appears in front of them calling the MC and wanting to know if he already had breakfast, then says she brought milk and that it is fresh. While Lin Zixin grabs Qinghan's hand and pulls her, he replies that he does not need milk but is grateful for the kindness. However, there is a nervous student who thinks the MC stole his prize in the sports festival and now refused even a gift from his goddess. So he shouts, asking them to wait. The student starts yelling, wanting to know where the MC's manners are, since he thinks he could have just accepted it and given it to someone else. Lin Zixin wants to know if doing that would not be even worse. Still outraged, the student asks the MC to drink it because not drinking it is disrespectful and rude. The MC says that he is allergic to milk. The student shouts, calling Lin Zixin a liar, and challenges him to a duel, then emphasizes that if he wins, he will stop saying those things to him, but if he wins, the MC will have to drink all the milk. With that, a system message arrives informing the MC about his new mission, which is a formal competition where he must defeat 1,000 different enemies using the most primitive method of biology. The reward will be the biological attribute of survival of the fittest. The MC becomes excited, thinking that after so long, he finally received another mission. Thus, he says that he accepts the duel challenge and will honor the bet. After that, 2 girls find out that the MC is going to fight a senior in the gym, so they get excited to see him. At the duel site, several people are already waiting for the confrontation. One of the girls shouts, calling the MC, and says she will be cheering for him. The other wishes him good luck and comments that she will take lots of photos. The guy who challenged Lin Zixin doesn't like hearing them cheer for his opponent at all and wonders if they really think he's going to lose. He then gets fired up, thinking that he will finish off this so-called genius junior before he gets stronger, since he knows the MC's talent started to stand out a lot in the last month and therefore understands that if he doesn't act now, he'll lose the chance to show off. Lin Zixin says that he still needs to go home for dinner, so he wants to know if they can start the fight already. His challenger smiles and says he will help him get home on time. Therefore, the teacher shouts, asking both of them to remember to be careful first and that they may begin the duel. The MC's opponent shouts, asking for a moment, and then says that Lin Zixin trained for only 1 month, while he himself trained for almost 2 years, and because of that, he thinks that to be fair, he will let the MC take the first 3 hits. Lin Zixin replies that it's fine, and charges forward at full speed toward his opponent with his incredible speed, leaving him speechless, unable to understand what the hell just happened. The MC lands his punch, sending his opponent flying far away and making him fall knocked out on the ground. The teacher can't believe that a junior defeated a senior with just 1 punch. The students watching around are completely shocked, saying that this was really ridiculous. Qinghan gets excited to see that her best friend won, and the other female students also keep saying that the MC is truly amazing. At that moment, a system notification pops up for Lin Zikin, informing him that he defeated an opponent and obtained the affection of the opposite sex, and that because of this, he received priority in reproduction matters. He then thinks that he still needs to defeat 999 more opponents to unlock the attribute of survival of the fittest. He then gets an idea and, a little embarrassed, calls the senior students who are there and asks what they think about using the remaining time to fight as well. They can't believe they are being challenged and start making excuses, saying they need to do this and that. The guy the MC defeated tries to stand up and, furious, says he doesn't accept this since the MC attacked him by surprise, and he thinks that if they go again, the result will be different. Professor Guo calls for Zhang Kai and tells him to accept defeat like a man, but wonders whether the punch he saw from the MC was pure luck or truly his strength. So he thinks he'll call Xiao Lisi to confirm his point of view. He then shouts for him, and Xiao Lisi immediately gets scared. After the teacher's request, Xiao Lisi prepares for the confrontation, but hopes the MC won't hit his face. 10 minutes later, the MC made sure not to overdo it and only exchanged a few blows with his senior brothers. However, besides Zhang Kai, none of them counted toward the mission's progress, so he wonders if he needs to knock out the opponents. At that moment, the teacher calls Lin Zixin and informs him that he joined the martial arts team only a month ago and has already become their ace. Therefore, the teacher gets excited and says that in this year's regional martial arts tournament, the school will definitely crush the others and take first place. Lin Zikin realizes that the martial arts tournament is the perfect chance to defeat several opponents at once, but keeps in mind that as long as he beats them in a competition, it should count toward the mission's progress. Then, the MC hears someone shouting his name. It's Zhang Kai, who says he acknowledges his defeat and emphasizes that even if the MC craps on his face, he won't complain. Everyone, as soon as they hear that, becomes completely stunned, unable to believe such nonsense. Then everyone runs away while Zhang Kai keeps shouting that he hasn't finished speaking yet. After that, Lin Zixin kept in mind that in the world he lives in, high school students either train martial arts or study academic fields. But martial arts classes are also the main choice in the world. And because she could join the martial arts classes, Qinghan began training with him. And after running 3,000 meters, they practiced martial arts techniques for another hour to improve their close combat skills. And then they did sit-ups and push-ups to enhance their physical strength and endurance. But after each session, he helps Qinghan relieve muscle tension with a massage, and he also cannot stop if he wants to be prepared for the upcoming martial arts tournament. So he knows he is giving his all to unlock the attribute of survival of the fittest as fast as possible. And after 1 month, the day of the tournament finally arrived. And inside the city gym, the event is already happening with many people in the audience. While in the athletes' rest area, Professor Guo is surprised to see that their school has no luck because they got the strongest team, the #1 school of Shanghai. And Xiao Lizi says that the #1 school has a monster that year, and that he is someone who can run 100 meters in 9 seconds, until the MC calls the teacher and says that he wants to go first. And a little surprised by the request, the teacher says that it's fine. And after being called into the arena, the teacher and Qinghan cheer for Lin Zikin until someone rushes into the arena and a very tall and large guy comments to the MC that he saw information about him and thinks that being able to get into the arena of the 8 school league as a first-year student is quite impressive, but he makes it clear to the MC that this is not a place for a first year like him, who is not even 1.70 meters. Then he starts showing off and says that soon he will show the MC the difference between their sizes and strength. And at that moment, the referee blows the whistle announcing the start of the fight, and the big guy wastes no time and charges with everything toward the MC, who easily dodges the attack, and with just a slap to the middle of the big guy's chest, he sends him flying far away. And with that, the referee announces that the winner of the first round is Lin Zikin, and Qinghan is happy and shouts that her friend is the best. And the MC's team gets excited with his victory and shouts celebrating as well, while the coach of the big guy who just lost the fight becomes furious, saying that he had told him many times to have movement and that he should never attack without thinking when he is in the arena. And after his victory, the system informs the MC that he defeated an opponent and that his ranking in the tournament increased, and Lin Zichin becomes excited thinking that this was expected because defeating competitors in a tournament increases the mission's progress, while the coach of the #1 school calls Chen Feng and tells him that he will be next, and wants him to defeat the first-year brat as fast as possible. And he answers that he understands and will do it quickly. And with that, he enters the arena ready for the fight, and the referee shouts for them to begin, and Chen Feng charges at the MC, delivering his front kick. But Lin Zichin dodges at the last second and counterattacks again with the palm of his hand, sending his opponent knocked out far away and making him fall outside the arena, and he is soon taken away by the paramedics, and the audience is confused, wanting to know what is happening and how a first-year student is doing all this. And the coach of the #1 school starts to panic, thinking that this first-year kid is really strong. So he calls Gao Fei and asks him to be next, but explains that he should focus on defense and not just attack, or he thinks he will lose. And Gao Fei asks his coach to relax and emphasizes that he is going to win. And as soon as he enters the arena, he keeps thinking that Lin Zichin is not strong and that he is only fast and knows how to use his intelligence in a fight. And that is why he won the previous matches so easily. But he keeps in mind that he can run 100 meters in 9 seconds and has more combat experience than him. And as long as he takes the fight seriously, he thinks there is no way he can lose. And the people in the audience begin commenting to each other that they heard Gao Fei from the #1 school of Shanghai can do several surprising things, and that they also know his father is a gene fuser. And, as his descendant, Gao Fei's physical abilities are certainly much greater than those of normal people, so the referee asked them to start the fight at once. And in the blink of an eye, Gao Fei charges at the MC with everything he has, and uses his crushing stone fist technique, throwing several consecutive punches, but Lin Zichin manages to dodge all of them without many problems. And the coach shouts, wanting to know what Gao Fei is doing because he had told him to focus only on defense, and while continuing to launch his attacks. Gao Fei comments that he will not focus on defense because he is a genius and does not need it, while the MC, continuing to dodge the attacks, thinks that the fist technique he is seeing is kind of interesting and decides he will observe it and learn it before winning. And Gao Fei begins to worry and asks himself why he cannot land a single punch. Then asks the MC how he is dodging his attacks. And Lin Zichin wants to know if his opponent has other moves, because if he does, he wants him to use them. And Gao Fei becomes furious at being insulted and charges again with his consecutive punches. But the MC, seeing that his opponent is using the same technique again, lands a kick right in the middle of his stomach, sending him flying. And the audience is left speechless, unable to believe what they are seeing. And the MC's team goes wild when they see that he defeated Gao Fei and has an incredible streak of 3 victories. And therefore the MC's next opponents were weaker than the previous ones, and soon all 5 members of the #1 school of Shanghai were defeated by him. And in the following days, Lin Zichin alone defeated the other 2 schools and ended up leading his school to victory in the 8-school championship. But Lin Zichin was a little worried because he was watching the progress of his mission and knew he still needed to defeat 984 opponents. But he also knew that even if the mission was not being completed quickly, he did not expect Professor Guo to give him most of the tournament's cash prize, since it was 20,000 in cash. And adding it to the cash prize he won from the academic competitions, the MC had about 30,000 yuan at the moment. However, he spent those 30,000 very quickly, and while his mother asked him to eat slowly, the system informed him that the assimilation with the ghost squid was at 33%, and Lin Zichin reflected that devouring 15 kilograms of ghost squid meat at once increased the assimilation progress. And, after some time in his second year of high school, he advanced from normal tier 3 to normal tier 4, and at the moment, he can also lift 1,090 kilograms with one hand, and his vertical jump reached almost 6 meters, and he can run 100 meters in 4.4 seconds. And time passed quickly, and he and Qinghan graduated from high school, and soon the results of the university entrance exam arrived, and he was first place in the district in both the academic part and the martial arts part. And Qinghan's academic score was great, But her martial arts score was not enough for the elite martial arts class at the university, so she wanted to know if that meant she could not go with the MC to the university, and Lin Zikin says that he does not know how to answer that, but tells her that the university director had said he would come to his house, so he wants to know if Ching Han wants to meet him too, and while crying, she answers that the director will only be there to insist that he enroll in their elite martial arts class, so she knows this has nothing to do with her, and Lin Zixin takes her hand and asks her not to worry, because the only condition for him to study there is if she studies together with him. So the school administration talked with them for several hours at the MC's house, and it was just the director expressing her desire for him to continue studying at the same school, and before the director left, she called Lin Zikin and emphasized that they had talked for a long time and that she had said everything she wanted to say. But there was one last thing to mention, which was that as long as he agreed to continue studying at her school, he could tell her directly if he wanted anything. So the MC thanks the director and says he has only one request because he hopes that Ching Han can continue studying in the same class as him. And the director goes to Ching Han and says that when classes resume, the two of them can enroll together, and both are happy to hear that and thank the director. And after that, after the MC chose his university, he participated in his last high school tournament, and as expected, he easily made his school win the tournament again. And after getting the cash prize, Lin Zikin decided to fulfill a wish he had for a long time, and now only 20% is left for the MC to assimilate with the ghost squid, and the cash prize from the tournament he won should be enough to buy the remaining meat needed to reach 100%. But Lin Zikin thinks that he didn't know what would happen if the assimilation reached 100%, so he went to a mountainous area outside the city of Shanghai, and then he begins devouring a large amount of vital essence from the ghost squid, thus achieving the long-awaited assimilation of the creature. And the system informs him that he completely assimilated with the ghost squid and gained the biological attribute of the aquatic form, which greatly increases water affinity, allowing the MC to move freely in it. But Lin Zixin wonders if this aquatic form is not practically useless, and then he decides to test this biological attribute in a nearby lake and ends up discovering that his skin does not wrinkle even after being submerged for a long time, and he can feel that the water resistance is much lower, but other than that, there were no other effects. And as soon as he returns to the surface, he thinks that this was already expected since the ghost squid is a low-level terrible beast with no value for gene fusion, so he knows that if he wants better biological attributes, he just needs to save money to buy them later. And he also reflects that once he gets stronger, he can hunt and eat terrible beasts like the giant rats. And after some time, with less than a week left before classes resumed, the MC's mother and Ching Han's family were talking about taking a trip together and to better understand the aquatic form they suggested going to the beach. But as soon as Ching Han entered the water, a little, she immediately complained that it was very cold, and while swimming at full speed, the MC answers that when she first enters, it is like this, and that once she gets used to the water, it won't feel so cold, and the system informs that he was swimming and gaining 1 point in the vitality attribute, full body muscle strength, full body muscle coordination, aquatic affinity, and swimming proficiency. And Ching Han, afraid, started calling the MC and asking him not to swim alone and to help her swim. And while he was swimming, Lin Zixin realized that she had not yet learned to swim, so he calmly began teaching her how to swim. But because her talent for athletic things is average, he thinks she probably won't be able to learn. However, he did not expect her to prove him wrong so quickly, since she learned very fast and was swimming very deep and saying it was very easy. And while swimming, she noticed that she could open her eyes and quickly return to the surface, startling the MC and saying that she is very good at swimming and that she always heard people say it is difficult to open your eyes in the ocean because it stings a lot. Then she says that she feels no discomfort and that actually it is very calm and comfortable. And Lin Zikin, watching her swim, thinks that no matter how good Ching Han's aquatic affinity is, he thinks it is impossible for her to have learned all those swimming techniques at once, since it is something very abnormal, until he remembers something and wonders if the reason she always peed the bed is because she has a natural affinity with water. Therefore, he becomes excited, thinking this is incredible, because he thinks that maybe in her past life she had some kind of special physique from a Xianxia novel. And then he dove into the water with her and ended up becoming even more surprised with her performance. And they had been holding their breath for 10 minutes, which is not something easy even for professionals, until Qinghan becomes surprised and wonders why she is hearing a voice in the water, and she quickly starts swimming to the surface. And as soon as they both come out, Lin Zikin wants to know what happened and why she is so tense. And Qinghan says that moments before she was hearing a strange voice in the water, and the MC becomes intrigued and asks about the voice. And she says she couldn't understand it and thinks it must have been in a language she didn't know, but all she knows is that it was the voice of a woman. And she also says that the voice was very real, and she kept hearing it until they got out of the water, and then it disappeared. And after that, to help Qinghan calm down, the MC immediately took her to the hotel and then tried searching for something related to this on his phone, but couldn't find anything about what Qinghan heard. But all of this made him unable to sleep, so he decided to continue training. And while he trained, the system informed him that he was gaining several points in his attributes and that his biological level increased to normal tier 5. And he couldn't believe that his level was increasing while training, since he keeps in mind that normal tier 5 is a level where he can rival adult giant rats. And because of that, he thinks that apparently, if he continues training, tearing giant rats apart with his hands won't be impossible. And after leveling up, Lin Zikin went to a deserted beach to test his attributes, and he was able to run 100 meters in 3.6 seconds, and his vertical jump reached 7 meters, and he was also able to lift weights of around 1,600 kilograms with one hand. And compared to when he reached normal tier 4, he knows the difference is very impressive. And after this achievement, the MC's student life finally returned. And as soon as they entered the classroom, there were 2 girls who immediately commented that the MC was very handsome and that they would even clean the classroom for him. And Lin Zichen kept in mind that he and Qinghan needed to arrive earlier because they needed to clean the room, so he did not expect his new classmates to already know him. But to his surprise, this cleaning task activated a new mission, which was to cooperate with other people and required completing 1,000 daily tasks, with the reward being the biological attribute of the socializing monster. But the MC wonders what the effect of this socializing monster will be, because he hopes it will be something decent. And later, Lin Ziken knew that since classes had just resumed and there was not much to do, he used this opportunity to go to the new supermarket. And since he had already assimilated with the ghost squid, it was time to have another objective, until something caught his attention because he was seeing Tyrant eagle meat that cost 1,998 yuan per 500 grams. And when he picked up the tray of meat in his hand, he knew this was what he needed, because he keeps in mind that the Tyrant eagle is a terrible beast of a level slightly higher than the ghost squid, since its vision is exceptional, being 30 times better than that of a normal person, which is extremely good. And because of this, the MC knows that the hunting abilities of the Tyrant eagle are excellent, since the creature can precisely catch terrible rabbits that run so fast they become a blur. And after arriving home with the piece of Tyrant eagle meat, he concludes that if his vision becomes good, his combat ability will increase greatly, and that to sum it up, the assimilation of the eagle is very worthwhile, since the most important thing is the price of the violent eagle's meat, because it is the second cheapest, costing only 1,998 yuan per 500 grams, and therefore he wastes no more time and begins devouring the vital essence of the eagle, reaching 1% assimilation. Lin Zichen looks at the eagle claw and concludes that every 500 grams increases the assimilation progress by 1%. So he thinks that at this rate it will cost around 200,000 yuan to complete the assimilation with the Tyrant eagle. And then he reflects that apparently he will have to focus even more on tournaments to earn money, since the cash prize is much higher in the competitions he will participate in now. And the next day at the Shanghai school, on the second day after returning to classes, his teachers began introducing themselves. And after doing so, they asked the students to introduce themselves too. And the first one greets everyone and says her name is Chu Yuxi, and says she is good at playing the zither, calligraphy, and painting. And then another very cheerful girl says her name is Zhang Yijia, and that she really likes anime, cosplay, and sports. And the next one shouts loudly that his name is Peng Hu Guang, and that he usually stays at home playing games during his free time. And soon it was Qing Han's turn to introduce herself, and because she was being watched by many people, she became nervous, so very embarrassed. She introduced herself and said she liked drawing, and also hoped to count on all of them in the future. And the MC kept in mind that his introduction was probably the shortest in the whole classroom, since he only said his name, and that he also hoped to count on everyone there in the future. And after that time passed very quickly, and after everyone introduced themselves, the bell rang signaling the end of class, and someone wanted to know what Qing Han's score was on the entrance exam. And she looks to the side surprised and answers that it was 709. And the girl becomes excited, saying that this is more than 10 points higher than hers, since she only got 698. But then, she wants to know what Qing Han's score was on the physical test, because she didn't do very well in the entrance exam and only got 95, which is a very bad score. And Qing Han becomes shocked to hear the girl's score, because she keeps in mind that the physical exam is worth 100 points. So she comments that she also didn't do very well since she only got 79 on the physical test, and she was still 11 points short of entering the honor class. And because of that, she can't bring herself to say what her score was. And the girl keeps wanting to know how many points Qing Han got, whether it was 94 or 93, and completely unable to say it. Qing Han lowers her head and says it was lower, and the girl gets even closer, wanting to know if it was 92 or 90, until someone slams the desk loudly, startling the girl. And it is the MC wanting to know if he can have the blonde girl's number. And a little confused, she says okay, and that she will give it to him, but thinks he is very handsome, and that he even took the initiative to ask for her number. And Qing Han looks at her friend and thinks that it is good he helped her, because she feared that if the girl kept asking, she wouldn't know what to answer. And then the MC asks for He Yu's number as well. And after adding their numbers, the MC created a group of 4 people, and he did not expect that creating this group would meet the criteria to be considered part of the mission, since he sees the system notification informing him that because he created the group, it counted toward the mission. So Lin Zicken knows that all he can think is that this mission will be easy, and after that, and after creating the group, the 4 of them began getting to know each other better. And He Yu is from the neighboring city of Nanwan, and his family has had a martial arts dojo for generations, making him the heir of a martial arts family, and he even placed 8th in the youth martial arts competition of Nanwan City, which brought honor to his ancestors. And Li Chuxin's family owns a clothing store with several branches throughout the city, and she is truly a rich girl. So the MC and Qing Han soon told their situation to the others, and they formed the group of 4 people and started talking about everything, until He Yu wanted to know who was the strongest in their class, because he thinks they would never know. And Li Chuxin points to the MC and says she bets it is him, since he was the highest scorer in the city's entrance exam. He Yu becomes very surprised to hear that, and comments that the MC apparently is a pretty badass guy after all. But he emphasizes that being the highest scorer in the city may not be enough, and that the MC may not believe it. But in their class, there are 2 tough people whom the principal paid a fortune to bring from the city of Nanwan. So he says that one of them is a guy named Wang Shuji, who is in the 3rd row on the left next to the window, and that he was the 3rd highest scorer in the entrance exam of Nanwan City and can run 100 meters in less than 8 seconds. And then he talks about the other guy, the big one sitting in the last row on the right, and that his name is Lu Gang. And he explains that this guy has had supernatural strength since birth and can easily lift 300 kilograms with one hand. And while Qing Han and Li Chuxin become impressed hearing about these guys He Yu just described, Lin Zichen takes a deep breath and thinks that he was scared for a moment, since he knows that all of this He Yu said was from when they were still in elementary school, until the bell rang again and they started handing out the books, which were only 4, one for each main subject. But since Lin Zicken had already studied all the books when he was younger, he found a hidden place to train during his free period, because he kept in mind that the threat of the rat god cult was still out there, and the police had only arrested the heretics so far, but there had been no sign of the Rat King. And because of that, He knew he needed to become as strong as possible and reach normal tier 6 or higher, because then he would be able to fight even giant rats if he encountered them. And after some time, the first practical class of the afternoon was survival class, and Professor Chung Bi wanted to know if anyone knew how to make fire through friction on wood. And He Yu comments that he thinks even the teacher would hardly ever use that in daily life, so he wants to know who would want to learn that for fun, until he becomes very surprised to see Wang Shuji and Lu Gang showing that they know how to do it. And Chung Bi becomes impressed and comments that they are incredible for learning to do that, so he wants to know where they learned it. And Lu Gang says it was during the vacation since he took extracurricular classes and learned it. And Wang Shuji says he learned it alone through the internet when he was in elementary school, and then, after the Nanwan duo finished showing off, the other students began trying to do the same, and soon the MC also taught the members of his group a trick to make the fire ignite with friction. And after that, in Professor Han Yuan Feng's martial arts class, he was saying that he would teach everyone a cultivation method through special breathing, where it also became a stage for the Nanwan duo to show off since they were shouting that they had already learned it before. And Lin Zikin knew that even though it was a little funny, they actually managed to do it the right way. And knowing that he had already learned all this a long time ago, the MC preferred not to draw attention. And after that, Professor Kai Yuanfei was saying that it had already been a month since classes resumed, and that it was time to test the class's progress. So he says that the test he will apply will have a reward in which first place will win 888 yuan, second place 666, and third place 333 yuan. And Lin Zikin wonders if the prize will really be in cash because he knows this is a very generous reward, and that it is almost enough to buy 250 grams of Tyrant eagle meat. So with the knowledge that there would be a reward, everyone did their best to answer the questions, and more than an hour later the test ended. And in the next class, the gene fusion teacher Lu Darren also gave a test with the same rewards. And after everyone finished, He Yu, completely exhausted, comments that it finally ended, and some students begin talking about the test, and one of them says that the test was really difficult because he didn't think they would ask even about the wavelength of a laser cannon. And a girl agrees and emphasizes that the questions were really hard. And while everyone was complaining about how difficult the questions were, the kings of neediness from the city of Nanwan begin showing off. And Wang Shuji comments to Lu Gang that the test was kind of difficult, so he wants to know how much he thinks he will score. And Lu Gang answers that he thinks he can get around 95 since he was not able to solve the last part of the last question. But he also wants to know how much Wang Shuji thinks he got. And he says that he could not solve the final part of the last question, but still thinks he will also get 95. And He Yu, seeing them bragging, becomes very irritated and wonders if they are always going to do this because he really wants to go over there and punch each one of them in the face. A few minutes later, Professor Lu Darren asks for everyone's attention and announces that the results of the mechanical modifications exam are out. With that, he reports that Guo Yanling scored 52 points and Shen Qinghan 61 points. She is happy and immediately looks back to tell the MC that she passed. He remarks that the heavens reward the diligent and that she deserved it. Liu Darren continues by reporting that He Yu scored 88 points. Everyone in the classroom looks back and says that he was incredible. The professor emphasizes that it was a great score and that he has high hopes for him. He Yu laughs and says it was just luck, since the questions ended up being things he knew. But he tells everyone that as soon as he gets the 333 yuan prize for third place, he will pay for everyone's dinner. Next, the professor says that Lu Gang scored 95 points and Wang Shuji did as well, and that the two were exceptional, missing only one question to achieve a perfect score. Wang Shuji explains that the last question required many calculations, so he thinks that if the professor had given 10 more minutes, he would have solved it. Lu Gang laughs and says the same thing, which leaves He Yu perplexed, thinking that both of them are showing off again. Liu Darren informs them that the exam was very difficult, but that they will not believe it because someone in the class achieved a perfect score, then announces that the student, Lin Zichen, scored 100 points. Both Wang Shuji and Lu Gang are in disbelief. wanting to know how the hell the MC managed it. Yu, impressed, thinks that even the two best students of Neiwan were defeated, and that the MC took his third place. At that moment, Lin Zikin raises his hand and asks when the 888 yuan first place prize will be distributed. The professor asks the MC not to be impatient and explains that he will send the cash prize in a red envelope to the class group, and that only he can open the envelope, but he wonders whether the MC is only worried about the money and whether he might be broke. A little over an hour later, the results of the gene fusion exam were also about to be announced, and the professor, after calling for everyone's attention, said he would deliver the exam results. Thus, Ka Yuanfei reports that Lu Gang and Wang Shuji, the duo from Nawan, scored 81 and 83 points respectively in an exam in which almost all students failed, and that achieving a score considered excellent was already incredible. Yet the two were not satisfied with this result, since they could not show off because of it. Shanqing Han scored 78 points, a score that placed her in the top 5. As for the MC, he achieved another perfect score once again, winning another cash prize. But on the other hand, He Yu, Wang Shuji, and Lu Gang received yet another major shock. Thus, the blonde wanted to know how someone could achieve a perfect score on a very difficult exam. Lu Gang asks whether the professor thinks the MC already knew the answers. Kai Yuanfei becomes serious and makes it clear that this would be impossible. He then explains that he wrote all the questions on the exam and that they will not be able to find the answers on the internet, and that therefore, there would be no way for the MC to know them. Yu laughs and says that those Nawan clowns are making him laugh, but tells them to just accept it. After that, the break passed in the blink of an eye, and soon the survival course exam began. Chung Bi emphasized that the prizes for the survival course are the same as those of the other subjects, and that therefore he would not mention the amounts again, but explains that the exam consists of 3 main tests: climbing, where they would need to climb a mountain and a tree, swimming, and making a campfire using only materials from nature. Wang Shuji calls out to Lu Gang and says that they could not beat the MC in the theoretical exams earlier, but that now, in the survival and martial arts tests, they need to reclaim their honor. The big guy looks at the MC from behind and says that the blonde did not even need to say that, because he will give it his all to finish off Lin Zikin for making them lose face earlier. After that, the exam soon began, and the first test was climbing a tree and then a mountain, with the score based on how fast the person climbed. And once again, the MC took first place in the mountain climb, and without much surprise, he made the Nawan duo eat dust again in the tree climbing test. However, at that moment, Lin Zikin was worried about his friend Shanqing Han, since she had not finished climbing the mountain and was, unsurprisingly, in last place. But that was not a big problem, because when it was time for the swimming test, Shanqing Han would regain her confidence. In the next test, which was making fire using materials from nature, Lin Zikin had no choice but to crush the Nawan duo for the cash prize. The swimming test was the last one, and this time, Shanqing Han also crushed the Nawan duo, which was probably another shock to their spirits. And, after the survival exam, Wang Shuji and Lu Gang became strangely quiet and did not speak for quite some time. But their silence lasted only briefly, since that same afternoon, the martial arts duel reignited their hopes of showing off. The martial arts instructor was saying that it had already been a month since they started practicing martial arts, and that, on that day, it was time to test the results of that training, and that the method to test everyone there would be through duels, with prizes also for the top 3. The Nawan duo filled themselves with confidence, thinking that now, what matters in martial arts classes are the best physiques and who has the best martial arts. However, before the duels began, Professor Han Yuanfeng had everyone in the class perform physical activities as a warm-up, where the warm-up would measure 3 things: the 100-meter sprint time, how much a person can lift with a single hand, and the height of the vertical jump. Lin Zikin recorded a 100-meter time of 7.78 seconds, lifted 330 kilograms with one hand, and finally jumped 2 meters and 18 centimeters in the vertical jump, placing first in all 3 categories. But to avoid something too exaggerated, he held back and only achieved numbers slightly higher than those of Wang Shuji and Lu Gang, who even so were left open-mouthed, unable to believe they had been defeated again. Next, the blonde tells Lu Gang not to panic, and comments that losing in the warm-up does not mean they will lose in the duel, since a real fight is not only about physical attributes, but also about techniques. The big guy agrees with the blonde and emphasizes that their martial arts are much better than the rest, and because of that, he thinks they still have a chance. With that said, after the warm-up, everyone went to the ring to begin the duels. Lin Ziken knew that, to complete the survival of the fittest achievement as quickly as possible, he needed to be the first to step onto the ring. But because his warm-up results had been very good, no one dared to step up. Even the Nawan duo did not step up, deciding to observe for the moment, but he knew that if this continued, the professor would surely lose patience. Thus, Han Yuanfeng asked Lu Wei to step up and have a duel against the MC. As soon as the boy enters the arena, he immediately takes a guard stance. Lin Zixin, to save time, needed to end the duel quickly, with just a single punch, and to defeat everyone in his class, he had to speed up and finish the fights with only one blow. Wang Shuji and Lu Gang could not believe what they were seeing, and soon began to wonder whether the MC was really that strong. Until, out of nowhere, He Yu jumps into the ring and shouts Lu Gang's name. Then he says that he is already warmed up and in his best physical condition, and because of that, he wants to know if the big guy will face him. Without thinking twice, Lu Gang jumps into the ring and shouts that he will only need 30 seconds to finish off He Yu, but thinks that if He Yu had not challenged him, he would have had to fight the MC, and since he has no confidence in beating him, beating He Yu will not be a problem at all. He Yu, in turn, does not hesitate and charges at the big guy, quickly unleashing a barrage of non-stop strikes, until Lu Gang grabs his leg and, due to his monstrous strength, begins to spin He Yu around and then throws him out of the ring, where he crashes face first onto the ground. As he gets up, he starts vomiting from the dizziness of being spun so forcefully. Lu Gang laughs, calls out to He Yu, and makes it clear that of all the people he has fought, his close combat skills are the best, and that in terms of techniques, he would say He Yu is the strongest in the class. But unfortunately, his own abilities are a bit higher. At that moment, Lin Zixin jumps into the ring, wanting to know if the big guy will try with him, since he has in mind that this is a great chance to gain more progress, or else no one will want to step into the ring. Lu Gang gives a slight smile and says he accepts the duel. With that, he charges at the MC and, as he gets a bit closer, leaps at him with all his might. Lin Zixin simply sidesteps, causing the big guy to rush past at full force. The MC takes advantage of the chance and lands a punch on the big guy's back, sending him out of the ring. The other students watching go wild and start shouting the MC's name and telling Wang Shuji to challenge him. The blonde enters the arena saying he was already about to step up and tells everyone to shut up. However, when facing the MC, Wang Shuji knows there is nothing more he can do and that he will need to find a way to defeat him. And as he charges forward, he thinks he will give everything he has in this fight. Lin Zixin blocks the blonde's attack, and with the other hand, lands a punch right in the middle of his face, sending him flying out of the ring, completely dazed. After that, the MC defeated all the boys in his class one by one, always with just a single blow, and even a slap. And according to the rules of the survival of the fittest attribute mission, it seems that the MC could not defeat the same opponent multiple times. So Lin Zixin concluded that at that moment, he could only fight the girls, but he was wondering whether they would be willing to fight him. However, when he turned around, he saw several female students from his class, one after another, wanting to fight, and one of them raised her hand first, wanting to fight him. Then, quickly, she leapt at the MC, who in turn simply sidestepped and landed a slap on the girl's back. While on the ground, she thought that she had almost managed to hug him. After that, to the MC's surprise, the other girls in his class took the initiative and went to fight him. But obviously, Lin Zixin held back when fighting them, since his main objective was to complete the mission as quickly as possible. A short time later, the MC had already fought all the girls, but he was far from completing the mission and was even a bit disappointed. But the professor delivered some big news, first commenting that everyone did a great job, but that at that moment, everyone there in the elite class should learn to challenge people above them and therefore made it clear that, in the next month, the MC's class would challenge a stronger regular class from the second year. Lin Zikin was worried that he would not be able to complete his mission soon, but it ended up happening. After classes, during the break, when Lu Gang ran into the MC, he commented that he was worried he would not have anyone to be his rival at that school, but that it seemed he had underestimated it, and that from that moment on, the MC would be his great rival during the 3 years he would be at the school. Lin Zichen only thought that if Professor Han Yuanfeng continued setting up these challenges, it would not be impossible to complete his mission that year. And, after walking a bit more, Wang Shuji runs into the MC and emphasizes that losing once does not mean he will lose again in the future, and that therefore, he guarantees he will make sure to take revenge for the defeat before they finish school. Lin Zichen continues to pay him no mind and keeps thinking about the reward he will get upon completing his mission, since he did the math and earned about 3,000 yuan in just a single day. And as he walks away, thinking that he can use the money to buy more beast meat, the Nawan duo gets nervous at being ignored once again. Later, the MC reflects that even though he earned some money that day, he knew it was still far too little to buy enough meat to reach 100% assimilation. So, to earn more money, he opened a novel writer account and began his career as a writer. And the next day, when he woke up, he had already received a proposal from a website. And after signing the contract, a piece of news caught his attention, because 2 hours earlier, a giant rat had attacked a beast warehouse on the outskirts of the city, and that rat in question was 5 meters tall, and with just a single bite, it seriously injured a cyborg. But the cyborg immediately activated its auxiliary energy and self-destructed to eliminate the enemy, and the giant rat died on the spot. However, the MC was intrigued, wanting to know how many of these rats were hiding throughout the city and how they were hiding, despite being so large. After that, later at the school gym, it was the day of the match between the MC's class and a regular second-year class, and Professor Han Yuanfeng discussed some tactics with some of the elite class, explaining that in one-on-one battles, their best fighters were not as good as those of the MC's class, but that their combined strength was greater. He then made it clear that they would certainly use their numerical advantage and turn this into a battle of attrition, and that it was likely they would rotate fighters to tire out the MC's class. Lin Zishin tells the professor that he wants to go first and soon enters the arena, thinking that he needs to complete his mission, but that for that, he knows he needs to defeat as many opponents as possible, since the earlier he starts fighting, the better. The blonde girl from the other class calls her professor and says that the strongest fighter from the other class is already in the first match, and that, since she is the weakest in her class, she wants to know how she is supposed to fight. Her professor calls Han Yuanfeng and says that according to the tactical rules of the duels, the weakest should go first. So he wants to know why he sent their strongest student first. Since that breaks this norm, Han Yuanfeng shouts for Lin Ziken and tells him to step down, since the weakest of the class should go first. The MC does not like this very much, but steps out of the ring and agrees with his professor. Han Yuanfeng calls Yuntong and informs her that she will go first. She is surprised at being chosen and says that she is not ready yet. At that moment, Shanqing Han calls the professor and says that she knows she is the weakest, and that, because of that, she thinks she should go first. Thus, she enters the ring and starts questioning what she will do, because she is very tense. Li Chuxin and He Yu start shouting, saying that she can do it, and that they will be cheering for her. Shen Qinghan thinks that she is now even more panicked. However, her opponent does not want much talk and charges at her. Shen Qinghan tries to defend against several consecutive punches, and, while continuing to block, thinks that she knows that even if she cannot win, she will try to last as long as possible and tire out her opponent. 3 minutes later, the blonde girl, while continuing to throw her blows, thinks that Shen Qinghan is indeed quite resilient and fears that if this continues, she will soon run out of energy. Then she throws a stronger punch that sends Shen Qinghan out of the ring. Shen Qinghan quickly gets up embarrassed and runs over to the MC. Han Yuanfeng comments that she fought well and knew how to focus on defense to tire the enemy. Lin Zichen emphasizes that she was not bad, since she even managed to last 3 minutes against someone who trained a year longer than her. A few minutes later, Yuntong enters the ring, and as she charges forward, has in mind that her opponent's energy is already low and that she will use this chance to end the fight sooner. She then tries to land a spinning kick, but the blonde girl easily dodges it and immediately counterattacks with a punch right in the middle of Yuntong's face. Then she applies a leg lock, causing Yuntong to tap the mat, saying that she gives up the fight. The blonde girl stands up, laughs, and asks if they are underestimating the regular class. As she passes by Yuntong, she emphasizes that it is true she does not have as much talent as her, but points out that she trained for a longer time, and that therefore the girl should train for another year and come back to challenge her again. At that moment, Lee Chuk-sin steps onto the ring and, very confidently, shouts to Shanqing Han that she will avenge her, because she will take down that senior. Lee Chuk-sin quickly defeats her first opponent, and Shanqing Han comments that her friend is really amazing. The MC says that Shanqing Han is also amazing and points out that if she had not tired out that senior, Lee Chuk-sin would not have won so easily. 2 hours later, the second-year class teacher comments to Han Yuanfeng that there are only 4 people left in his class, and that, apparently, it looks like he is going to win the lunch they bet on. Han Yuanfeng laughs and says it is better not to celebrate too early, and he thinks about the MC, the Nawan duo, and He Yu, since they are the true strength of the elite class, and that the real battle is only just beginning. With that, he calls He Yu and says that he will be the next to fight. He quickly enters the ring and asks if his opponent is ready to face his stone fists, who in turn laughs and says that He Yu can stop embarrassing himself already. However, as soon as he finishes saying that, he is hit right in the middle of the face by a kick from He Yu and is thrown out of the ring without having done anything to defend himself. He Yu wonders if that was all his opponent had to offer. At that moment, someone charges straight into the ring. A big guy tells He Yu that he is being very arrogant. With that said, as he lunges forward with his powerful punch, he makes it clear that he will show how weak He Yu is. He Yu, in turn, quickly lowers himself, dodges the blow, and counterattacks with a powerful kick right to the middle of the big guy's chin, who is also easily thrown out of the ring. Lee Chuk-sin and Shen Qinghan celebrate He Yu's victory and shout that he is amazing. After that, He Yu defeats several opponents in succession, always using his martial arts tactics. But even though He Yu wanted to continue, after defeating 5 people in a row, he was clearly getting tired, and in the end, he was unfortunately defeated by his 6th opponent. After that, the MC's class was left with only 3 people, while the other class still had 13 remaining. With that, Han Yuanfeng calls Wang Shuji and informs him that he will be next. The blonde, while replying that he understands, charges at his opponent, and sometime later, he defeated 10 people at once, but lost in the 11th match due to exhaustion. Next was Lu Gang, who defeated 2 of the best fighters from the other team in less than 10 minutes. Han Yuanfeng looks at the teacher from the other class and says that he only had 1 person left in his class, so he wanted to know if the teacher would give up. He laughs and says that he would never do that. With that said, he calls Wong Jinhi and comments that it is his turn to shine. A huge guy enters the ring, making Lu Gang look small next to him. However, Lu Gang does not feel intimidated and says that his opponent is just a little taller and very fat. With that said, he charges forward and soon delivers a powerful punch right to the middle of the belly, but he is very surprised, thinking that it feels like he hit rubber. Then he starts throwing several consecutive punches, and upon realizing that none of the punches had any effect, he retreats and thinks that it is not working, since his opponent is like a tank, with skin that is far too thick. Wang Jinhi asks if Lu Gang is done, because if so, it will be his turn to attack. Lu Gang is grabbed by the neck and realizes that he is not able to breathe properly, and that his opponent's strength is immense. The big guy, without much difficulty, throws Lu Gang with full force out of the ring. Han Yuanfeng is shocked and immediately looks at the other teacher and asks since when his class has such a strong student. He apologizes and informs him that Wang Jinhe transferred in the last semester, and, because of that, it is understandable that Han Yuanfeng does not remember him, but that apparently, this time Professor Han Yuanfeng is going to lose. Han Yuanfeng turns around furious and almost in tears, thinking that the other teacher had an ace up his sleeve all this time, and that no matter how good Lin Zixin is, he knows there is no way for him to defeat the monster from the other class. Thus, a bit awkwardly, the teacher goes up to the MC and asks him to fight well, and says that he can even gain some good experience, but that he should not worry about whether he wins or loses. The MC laughs and simply asks the teacher to relax, emphasizing that he will win the fight. As soon as Lin Zichen enters the ring, Wong Jinhi becomes intrigued, wondering if the boy he is seeing is the last fighter of the other class. Then he calls out to the MC and says that he does not like to play around with the weak. At that moment, all the girls from the MC's class start shouting, telling him to finish off the arrogant guy and teach him a lesson. Hearing this, he immediately gets an idea. He then calls the MC kid and says that he will stand still and let him make the first 10 moves. Next, he emphasizes that this way, after he finishes him off, the MC and his fans will not badmouth him for playing with the weak, or say that it was an unfair victory. Lin Zichen replies that it is fine. With that, the big guy starts hitting his own belly and tells the MC to go at him with all his strength. Lin Zichen simply lands a punch right in the middle of the big guy's stomach, sending him spinning into the air, after which he crashes face first onto the ground outside the ring. At that moment, everyone looks at Wang Jinhe lying on the ground, and the place is overtaken by a shocking silence, until the entire MC's class starts shouting with happiness because they won the challenge. The big guy tries to get up but is still a bit dizzy and wonders what the hell just happened, because he feels that it makes no sense at all. The teacher from the other class comments to Han Yuanfeng that the student Lin Zichen is incredible, since he defeated Wang Jinhe with a single punch, and that because of this, he feels that the MC is almost as good as Wu Tiancheng was when he was a first year. Han Yuanfeng emphasizes that he does not think it is to that extent, since Wu Tiancheng was a monster, and that when he was a first year, he almost scared the principal to death. Lin Zichen hears them talking and soon asks who this Wu Tiancheng is. Han Yuanfeng explains that he is a senior who graduated a few years ago and that when he was a first year, he completely destroyed the elite class of the third year, which terrified many of the school's leaders. He then adds that when he was a first year, he could run 100 meters in 6.12 seconds, had a vertical jump of 3 meters and 96 centimeters, and could lift 650 kilograms with just one hand, then asks if the MC was impressed. He laughs and says that he was a little, yes, but thinks that this Wu Tiancheng is certainly someone impressive. After that, everyone goes to a restaurant, and Professor Han Yuanfeng shouts that thanks to the student Lin Zichen, they managed to defeat the second-year common class, and that since their teacher lost the bet and decided to pay for everyone's food, he wants to make a toast to the MC. With that, everyone shouts that Lin Zichen is incredible and thanks him. After defeating the second-year common class, the MC became famous at the school. His classmates immediately began trying to get close to him, which was a bit difficult for him to get used to. And Shanqing remained the same as always, worried that the MC would get too busy talking with his classmates to eat, and she kept putting food on his plate, until suddenly, she feels something strange and runs off, saying that she needs to go to the bathroom. Lin Zichen knew that what also had not changed was his friend's uncontrollable urge to pee. As soon as she relieves herself, she hears some girls talking about her, saying that she is acting like a servant serving her master, since she is pouring drinks and peeling shrimp for him. Shen Qinghan also hears the girls wondering how, with her strength, she could enter the elite class without being the MC's servant, since they bet that she will not be able to keep this up for long, because with such a big difference in their strength, they are destined to separate in the future. Shen Qinghan gets nervous and makes it clear to the two there that she is nobody's servant, and as she leaves the bathroom annoyed, she emphasizes that she is the MC's childhood friend. After that, she and the MC leave, and he soon notices his friend being a bit quiet and asks if something happened. Shen Qinghan replies that when she was little, her mother always said that things would get better when she grew up, that she would stop peeing her clothes. But even now, she still wets the bed at night, and, because of that, she knows she needs to wear a diaper whenever she goes to sleep, which is very frustrating. Having said that, she calls the MC and emphasizes that she feels she has some kind of disability, since a disabled person cannot hold their pee. Lin Zichen makes it clear that she is not disabled, He then explains that being unable to hold it is her superpower, but that she just has not fully developed it yet. Shanqing is surprised to hear this and asks if it really could be a superpower. The MC replies yes, and says that her incredible talent for swimming is the manifestation of that power. She comments that the MC has been amazing since they were little, so she wants to know if he has a superpower too. He replies that yes, he does, and emphasizes that he has a superpower just like her. Shen Qinghan comments that if he really has a superpower, she would really like to know what it is like. The MC says that it is certainly something very powerful. Then they hear a loud noise, and when they turn around, they see some people shouting, asking an old man to lower his broom and informing him that they are exterminating rats for public safety. However, the shop owner does not listen and tries to hit the others with his broom, shouting for them to stop and not eliminate his brothers. He then becomes even more furious and charges at the guards while shouting that he will eliminate them. Shen Qinghan asks if the guy is crazy. The MC steps in front of her and says that apparently the old man must have escaped from a mental hospital. With that, he grabs her arm and calls her to leave, since he thinks people with mental problems are like that. Back at the MC's house, he and his parents are watching the news on TV, where it is reported that last week, a young teacher disappeared after leaving work, and her whereabouts are still unknown. The MC's mother comments that this is already the fourth young woman who has disappeared that month. The MC's father says that his wife is wrong, because it is already the fifth disappearance. The report continues, informing that all 5 people who disappeared that month were young and beautiful women. Then they recommend that young women should not go out at night, and if they do, it is better to go with several people and avoid dark places. The MC's mother comments that it seems things have not been very safe lately, and, because of that, she wants him not to let Shen Qinghan go out alone. Lin Zichen asks his mother not to worry and makes it clear that he will take care of her. Meanwhile, in the city of Shanghai, at the Public Security Bureau's 10th district, an officer is waiting for some information. He then asks what the result of the examination was and whether the old man has any kind of problem. The person in charge of the examination replies that he is still not sure because he has tried to communicate with him, but he has not said a single word. It is almost as if the old man were mute. The officer says that the old man inside the room is not mute because he was shouting nonstop at the market the day before. He then becomes very surprised since he sees the old man inside the room reacting in a completely strange way, and it does not take long for him to transform into a huge, furious rat. The officer shouts, asking the doctor to call for reinforcements, but that they should be cyborg reinforcements. A few minutes later, the guards are desperately trying to stop the giant rat, until a guard runs to the captain, warning that they received a notice that all cyborgs are on missions and were told that reinforcements will be sent in 10 minutes, and therefore, she thinks they will not have enough ammunition to hold the creature for long until the reinforcements arrive. Therefore, the captain shouts for everyone to get into the car immediately, as they need to lure the giant rat out of the city until the reinforcements arrive. As soon as everyone gets into the car, the driver wastes no time and speeds up the escape. The giant rat runs after the car. As they pass through a tunnel, they think they are safe. But the giant rat easily breaks through the tunnel and causes the guard's car to flip over several times. The woman is badly injured and thinks that, in the end, it seems they failed to buy time. The giant rat charges and lets out a loud roar until an explosion happens right in its face, since a cyborg has just arrived and does not stop attacking. The rat continues to be bombarded all over its body. However, the cyborg who just arrived realizes that the rat made a hole in the ground and escaped, so she wonders whether these creatures are becoming more intelligent, since, judging by the pieces of flesh on the ground, it seems it is badly injured, so she thinks it must not have gone far, and therefore believes she will have a chance to find it quickly and put an end to this. Later, at 3 in the morning, Lin Zichen is thinking that it has been 15 days since he became a writer, and he has maintained a consistency of 4,000 characters per day, and he is almost reaching 100,000 characters, and his earnings have reached more than 10,000. He knows there are still many slots available in the recommended section for the new batch of books, and, as soon as he secures them, he thinks he will earn even more, but he wonders how much he will make in the first month when they start selling. However, after seeing how things were going with his novel, The excitement did not let him sleep, so he went to a nearby alley to test the results of his training. He soon saw that he was running 100 meters in under 3.5 seconds, performing a vertical jump of 7 meters and 22 centimeters, and therefore, he knows that the improvement is clearly visible. Thus, he considers that if he keeps improving at this pace, he feels he might even have an immortal body. Then he hears a very loud noise that catches his attention, and when he looks towards some dumpsters, he sees a strange creature beside them. A rat-transformed man is apologizing to his brother and explaining that he did not want to eat him. The MC is shocked, wondering whether what he is seeing is a rat man, and whether it is by any chance the giant rat that escaped according to the news. He then knows he needs to run away and call the police, but the creature notices his presence and runs after the MC at high speed. Lin Zixin realizes that the creature is very fast and that he may not be able to dodge. Therefore, the MC decides to face the rat and lands a spinning kick right in the middle of the creature's face, sending it flying away. The rat gets angry, wanting to know how a skinny kid can be so strong. Then he sees the MC picking up a stone, which soon strikes the rat on the head. Lin Zixin keeps throwing several stones without stopping, and thinks that he cannot give the creature a chance to retaliate. In a matter of seconds, the MC manages to inflict heavy damage on the rat, and, as soon as he eliminates it, he wonders whether he really managed to defeat it. Then he decides to check, and as soon as he places his hand on the remains of the creature, he realizes that he can devour its vital essence, and that it also seems the creature has been completely eliminated. But apparently, he managed to absorb only 2%, since last time it was 5%, so he wonders whether this is related to the amount of genes the heretic consumes. But he soon decides that he needs to leave, since dawn is already breaking and he cannot stay there. A few minutes later, at the location where the MC defeated the rat, the cyborg who was after the creature has just arrived and, very intrigued, wants to know who eliminated the rat. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a mysterious man takes a girl to a magical ritual circle. Then the man kneels and shouts, asking the great rat king to partake. The immense creature, surrounded by a sinister aura, asks why there is only one woman and whether his subordinate thinks he would be satisfied, as it is nowhere near enough. The rat king's servant becomes afraid and asks to be allowed to explain. Thus, he explains that young women have been very alert in recent days, and that they do not go out at night and, during the day, always walk with many people, and that because of this, it has been very difficult to capture them. The Rat King tells his servant that next time he should capture young men, who quickly responds that he understands and will do so next time. Then, the king throws a strange piece of meat to the servant, who immediately starts eating without question and thanks him for the gift. After that, the Rat King grabs the beautiful woman with his tongue and, as soon as he consumes her, makes it clear to the servant that next time he is not to capture normal people because they suffer too much and therefore do not taste good, and that he wants to eat the great and powerful. After some time, the MC, to help Shanqing increase her martial arts score as quickly as possible, conducted special training sessions at her house whenever they had time. The MC is always attentive, correcting his friend's posture, until he wanted to see how much she had improved and asked her to attack him with everything she had. Shanqing charges forward, but the MC manages to block her strike and says she did not do badly at all, emphasizing that the angle of her punch is perfect and much stronger than before. Then she tries to land a kick, but the MC easily defends and says that the form of her kick is wrong. Then he asks her to keep her legs together before kicking and open them a little more, then try to use the same movement while correcting what he said. She replies that she understands and begins to throw several punches. After some time training, Shanqing sits on the ground and comments that she is very tired, but that she feels her martial arts are much better. Saying that, she comments that she thinks 3 times a week is not enough, so she wants to know if they can do this special training every day. Lin Zixin replies that there is no need, because he thinks 3 days a week is already a lot. Then he emphasizes that if she does this every day, she will not be able to endure it. She agrees and thanks him. At that moment, the MC hears his phone ringing. When he picks it up, Shanqing asks whether it is urgent news. Lin Zixin sees that the Mechanicus group announced on their official website that they will provide free treatment for the former genius Cyborg, who became disabled due to undergoing cybernetic modifications at a very young age, and that the genius of Jing University has also fused with the genes of the thousand web spider, breaking the university's record as the youngest person to undergo a second gene fusion. The MC is surprised to learn this, and wonders if it is the same genius from Kyoto, since he has in mind that normally most people only undergo gene fusion after becoming adults, and that if they did it when they were young, their bodies would not withstand the genes of terrible beasts and would be prone to mutation. But apparently, even so, the Kyoto genius, or the Jing University genius as he is currently called, has already undergone a second gene fusion before even turning 18, so he knows that such physical aptitude is truly incredible, and wonders whether gene fusion is the best choice. Later, already at his home, the MC is looking at some comments on his novel, where many people are praising him. Then he knows that, with the combined effects of the celestial root of wisdom and infinite evolution, after a month practicing typing, he can currently easily type 10,000 words per hour, and that, therefore, he thinks spending only 1 hour a day typing will not affect his daily training, since it is an acceptable amount of time. At that moment, the MC's father appears, saying that his son's book seems to be doing very well. Then he emphasizes that if he can maintain a consistency of 10,000 words per day and keep the story from going off track, he thinks he can earn around 50,000 from royalties in the first month, and that later, when he already has more chapters, earning 100,000 per month will not be difficult. Lin Zixin is quite impressed to hear from his father that he could earn as much as 100,000, since he has in mind that with this income, he will no longer need to worry about money to unlock assimilation with beasts, and therefore, he thinks he will try to obtain enough royalties in the first 2 months to unlock assimilation with the Tyrant Eagle. After that, the very next day, during martial arts classes, Professor Han Yuanfeng organized some duels among the students to check their progress. And, as expected, the MC easily wiped the floor with everyone, defeating all of them to the point that they no longer had the strength to fight back. And, in addition to the 888 yuan, he also gained a lot of progress in completing the survival of the fittest mission. On the other hand, Shanqing still could not defeat anyone and ended up last in her class ranking. But what was different this time was that she managed to fight well against her opponents. Last time, when she faced Wen Yuntong, the second to last student in the ranking, she was kicked out of the ring in less than 3 seconds, ending the fight instantly. But this time, Shen Qinghan managed to last for almost 3 minutes against Yuntong, and it was not 3 minutes of just defending, since she was exchanging blows with Yuntong and even landed several kicks and punches on her. Thus, Professor Han Yuanfeng saw this and repeatedly praised her for her great improvement, telling her to keep it up. Then the professor informed them that in 1 month they would challenge the strongest elite class of the second year, and that, therefore, their goal was to defeat everyone except their top 3 students. And he wanted to know if everyone agreed. Immediately, everyone answered yes. Han Yuanfeng became excited to see that his class was not afraid, and in the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed since the MC's novel was published, and with some money in his account, he did not waste time and went straight to the market to buy Tyrant Eagle meat. The vendor asked how much he would like, as they were running a promotion in which, if he bought 50 kilograms at once, he would receive a 5% discount. However, the MC replied that, in that case, he would not buy any, since he had in mind that he would wait until he had enough to buy 50 kilograms at once, and that he would only need to wait 1 more month. The next day, at school, Shen Qinghan was saying that the cafeteria opened a new fried food section a few days ago, and that she heard the fried foods there smell very good, so she wanted to know if the MC wanted to try them. He replied that he did, and invited her to go there. As soon as they arrived, Shen Qinghan commented that the smell was very good and they soon grabbed something to eat. When they sat at the table, Shen Qinghan commented that it was a good thing they arrived early, because otherwise they would have had to wait in the huge line that had already formed. Suddenly, Yu started shouting, wanting to know why his place in line had been cut. The other person replied that he was not cutting, and explained that his friend had saved a spot, and they argued like that for quite some time. Shanqing wanted to know why He Yu was arguing and whether they should go take a look. The MC replied that he thought He Yu would not need them, since He Yu is quite intimidating, and the person who cut the line seemed to have already given up. The guy left muttering, but He Yu soon became surprised to see that the guy was talking strangely with his friends, and quickly all of them cut in front of He Yu, who demanded to know what the hell they were doing. They replied that they were not doing anything special, as they just wanted to cut in front of him. He Yu became angry and, while pushing some of them, asked whether they were really joking. However, he ended up being surprised when he noticed something and, seeing that they were not intimidated by his push, wondered whether they wanted a fight. Quickly, the MC and Shen Qinghan stood up, as they thought He Yu was in trouble. Lin Zixin went up to one of the students and politely asked him to go back to the end of the line. The student immediately turns around, points a finger at the MC's face, and asks what he will do if he does not go to the end of the line. Lin Zixin takes out his phone and, laughing, replies that he will just snitch on him. The guy does not like that very much and asks if the MC is really going to play dirty, but Lin Zixin points out that he thinks cutting in line is even more despicable. The students who wanted to cut the line leave without saying a single word. Meanwhile, in the city of Shanghai, inside a house in the wealthy district, a man is informing them that Xia Qiang is dead and that he went crazy some time ago, ran to the market, provoked the public security team, and ended up being eliminated. One of the people gathered there emphasizes that it was a great end for that useless idiot, since he was always running around like a madman causing trouble, and that it had been a while since he wanted him eliminated. Then the cult leader informs them that the young man beside him is a novice and that he will be taking Xia Qiang's position, but he also emphasizes that, in addition to that, the Rat King had said that ordinary people are very unpleasant and do not taste good, and that because of this, from now on, the Rat King wants to eat the great and powerful of the elite. He then asks everyone to make sure they understand this, so they do not end up offering the wrong sacrifices. One of the cult members comments that capturing elite people is very risky, and the member beside him agrees and emphasizes that it is not a big problem if one or two ordinary people disappear, but if someone from the elite disappears, he fears it could become a major problem. The leader asks them to only try to capture the children of rich people without power, since the risk will be much lower that way. Then, he makes it clear to the novice that, since he is still new, he will not need to kidnap someone from the elite, but that he should start by practicing with handsome middle-class men, since they will offer them as sacrifices to the divine sons of the Rat King. The novice asks the cult leader not to worry, and says that he will offer the most handsome man in the city to the divine lord's sons. Back at the MC's school, He Yu is furious, commenting that he kept an eye on those guys from before for a few days, and that those guys who cut the line are from Class 3 of the second year, which is the strongest elite class of the second year, the ones they will soon face. In addition, he cannot believe that elite class students are so ill-mannered. While using his phone, Lin Zixin points out that good grades do not mean a person is a good person. Then he becomes surprised by something he sees, since a piece of news reports that another rich child has disappeared, as he has in mind that this is already the 5th case of a rich child going missing. In addition, he knows that the reason is certainly not money, since the kidnappers did not contact the families to ask for ransom, so he wonders whether these cases are related to the Rat King cult. After that, on the same day, the MC's class, Class 1 of the first year, was going to challenge the strongest elite class of the second year, and the guys who had cut in front of He Yu in line the previous week kept staring and making light of them. He Yu soon made the same gesture back at them. After that, the two classes finished warming up and the duels were about to begin, and just like last time, Shen Qinghan was the first. As soon as the fight started, Shen Qinghan's opponent charged forward with everything, and with a very strong kick, sent the MC's friend flying away, who in turn was thinking that the elite class senior is very strong, since even a defensive style failed to defend against her. The duels continued, and this time the victim was Yun Tong, and the elite class senior of the second year was always defeating her opponents with a single strike. Lin Zixin knew that this did not happen only to Shen Qinghan, since even Li Chuxin and the others were completely helpless against the senior, until a short-haired student, who was a bit stronger, stepped onto the ring and defeated the senior. But the next senior they sent quickly regained control of the situation, and, in less than 10 minutes, that senior defeated 9 people in a row. Among these people, 3 were boys. In a short time, only the MC, Wang Shuji, Lu Gang, and He Yu from Class 1 of the first year remained. As for Class 3 of the second year, only 5 people had been eliminated, and there were still 36 left to fight. And to make matters worse, all 5 people who were defeated were girls. Professor Han Yuanfeng knew that the difference in strength was very large and that it might be a hopeless battle. However, even so, he called He Yu and informed him that the other class still had 6 girls, and therefore wanted to know if he could handle it. He Yu immediately stepped into the ring and replied yes, but he soon thought that they were just some girls, since he wanted to fight more boys. It did not take long for He Yu to do what he had to do, as he met everyone's expectations, defeating all 6 girls with little effort. Then one of the guys who had cut in front of him in line the previous week entered the ring and asked if he was ready to be eliminated. He Yu commented that, apparently, his opponent was not only ill-mannered, but also seemed to have no idea of the danger. But he had in mind that his opponent was the first from his class to step into the ring, so he thought he must be quite weak. And besides, this was his chance to take revenge. As soon as the fight began, He Yu's opponent charged forward with everything and, with little He Yu could do, he was struck right in the middle of the stomach. He Yu fell to his knees on the ground, thinking that his opponent was very fast. Then he was quite surprised to realize that his opponent was already on top of him, and, furious, he stood up throwing a punch. But his opponent easily dodged and immediately counterattacked with a powerful kick, sending He Yu flying out of the ring. While on the ground, He Yu felt a lot of pain and thought that his opponent was not weak after all, and that, apparently, he must have stepped into the ring just to take revenge. Then the guy called out to the MC and commented that since he loves to meddle in other people's business, he wanted to know if he had the courage to step into the ring and face him. Immediately, Lin Zixin jumped into the ring and thought that he had been worried he would not have a chance to fight, since he knew his opportunity was right there. At that moment, everyone from the MC's class began to shout his name and ask him to show the other class who was in charge. And as soon as the fight began, the guy once again charged forward with everything, and when he threw a kick, the MC easily defended it. Then he counterattacked, grabbing his opponent's head and smashing it hard into the ground, and due to the strong impact, the guy was knocked out. Lin Zixin stepped over him and then kicked him out of the ring. The students of the other class commented among themselves that Chi Yue was one of the 5 strongest in their class, and, even so, he was defeated so quickly, so they wondered whether the junior from the first class was really that strong. At that moment, Professor Han Yuanfeng was thinking that Lin Zixin must still be hiding a lot of his strength, or he would not have been able to do what he did. Meanwhile, the golden duo of Nawan was very impressed with the MC and wondered whether what they were seeing was really true. Lin Zixin looked at the elite class of the second year and asked who would be next. Everyone was very surprised by the MC's courage, and 30 minutes later, the remaining 29 students of Class 3 of the second year were completely crushed. However, Lin Zixin was quite disappointed when he saw the progress of his mission, as it was still at 119 out of a total of 1,000. Then he reflected that he is always the last to fight in these duels, and therefore he thinks he cannot let this happen again, since he knows his strength goes far beyond his school, and he also knows that he does not need to follow the rules, and therefore thinks that from then on, he will make his own rules. A few days later, in a room at the school, someone was very surprised. It was the principal wanting to know if the MC wanted her to arrange a tournament to face him. Lin Zixin replied yes and said that he wanted to challenge the entire school. The principal is perplexed by the request and asks whether the MC, who is in his first year, already wants to challenge the entire student body and whether he is serious. Lin Zixin becomes serious, answers yes, and then asks her to accompany him to the gym, as he will prove that he is strong enough to make this challenge. As soon as they arrive at the gym, the principal, a little suspicious, comments that it is already late and asks why the MC brought her there. While taking off his shirt, he makes it clear that it is to show his strength. She becomes a little embarrassed, wondering whether the student is thinking of showing his physique to her, and then asks him to wait a moment. However, Lin Zixian does not care and immediately lifts 700 kilograms with a single hand. The principal is instantly very surprised and soon realizes what the MC really wanted to show. She then comments that the weight he is lifting is indeed absurd, as she might even think he is stronger than Wu Tiancheng, the strongest student in the university's history when he was in his first year. Next, she says that she will agree to the MC's request and will organize an event for him to challenge the entire school. Lin Zichen feels a little awkward and asks the principal to remember to prepare rewards, because without them, he thinks no one will participate. Having said that, he emphasizes that it is better to have two types of rewards, one for participation, to encourage everyone to step onto the stage and accept the challenge, and the second can be a cumulative prize, since they can even create a prize pool, and the more people who challenge him, the larger this pool will become. He then points out that whoever defeats him will take all the money, but if no one manages to defeat him within a time limit, the money will all be his. The principal makes it clear that the MC does not need to worry and asks him to count on her because she will do everything the way he asked. Next, Lin Zixian goes up to her and reminds her that she needs to keep his strength a secret for a while, because otherwise he thinks that if everyone finds out, they will lose the motivation to challenge him. She replies that it is fine and that she will do everything the way he said. After a few days in the principal's office, she shows the plan and asks what the MC thinks about holding the challenge event according to the strategy she is presenting. As soon as he reads it, he replies that it is perfect and thanks the principal for the excellent work. The principal feels a little awkward and comments that it was nothing. At that moment, Professors Han Yuanfeng and Liu Darin arrive at the office and, suspecting what is going on, begin to wonder whether they are seeing things right, since they have in mind that the diabolical principal who walks around the university with a grim face seemed to be sucking up to Lin Zixian. After that, and a few hours later in the gym, as planned, the principal began to share basic information about the MC and his recent achievements. She also explained the rules of the challenge, the cash prize, and everything else in detail. And, as expected, the audience below the stage exploded with people. The students wanted to know whether the principal was really serious and whether she had gone crazy, because just because the MC had won a few challenges, he was already being treated like a star. Lin Zixian asks for everyone's attention and informs them that starting the next day, he will defend the gym stage for 2 hours every day during lunchtime, and that everyone will be welcome to challenge him. He then thinks that this will be truly excellent, since it seems that many people will want to hit him, and that he will have a good chance of completing the survival of the fittest mission ahead of schedule. After that, night falls, and, in the city center, a guy is walking calmly while drinking his juice. Then, two beautiful girls appear, wanting to know if the blonde guy is alone and whether he would like to have a few drinks with them. He simply replies that he is not interested and asks them to disappear. The two leave, saying that the guy is a bore and that he will be single for the rest of his life. He takes a deep breath and wonders whether the city of Shanghai is really that pathetic, since he has been trying to find a handsome man there for about 2 consecutive days and has not found anyone. Therefore, he concludes that if he cannot complete the mission the cult leader requested for the sacrifice, he thinks he will be in quite a complicated situation. Next, he reflects that he even thought about luring a male celebrity, but they are always surrounded by bodyguards. So he knows that, as a new recruit of the rat god cult, he simply does not have the power to do that. Moreover, he keeps in mind that the deadline is already running out. Then he is surprised to see the MC running. At that moment, he thinks the MC is a handsome boy and that he might be good for the sacrifice. And while the MC keeps running, the blonde guy knows he cannot waste such a chance. Thus, he gets excited, thinking that he will complete his mission after all. And as he heads to a remote place, he knows it will be perfect, since there is no one around, and soon transforms, thinking that it is time to take action. But before he can do anything, he is struck by a brick right in the middle of the head. The cult recruit, while crying out in pain, wants to know what the hell just happened. Lin Zixian appears, saying that he never thought he would run into a rat man during his daily run. but at least he thinks this will help him complete his assimilation with the giant rat. The creature drops to its knees from the pain and wants to know who this terrifying boy is, besides him saying things it does not even understand, until the rat completely collapses to the ground. The MC is surprised, wondering whether with just one brick the rat has already been eliminated and whether there are really rat god cult followers that weak. But he soon concludes that it does not matter, because he thinks it is better not to waste time and quickly absorb the creature's essence before someone appears. And as soon as he does so, the system informs him that he absorbed a fragment of the mutant rat's life essence and that the assimilation is now at 8%. Lin Zixin feels annoyed when he sees that it only increased by 1%. Next, he reflects that it is probably better to avoid running at night for a while, just as a precaution. After all, he thinks not every cult follower is that weak, since he knows there are some whose bodies are so mutated that they can even withstand bullets. Upon returning home, and as soon as he finishes taking a shower, he hears a news report stating that the previous day at 3 in the morning, the city's public security complex carried out a joint operation with an instructor from the Shanghai Institute and wiped out the rat god cult once and for all. Lin Zixin is surprised to hear this and wonders whether the cult was really exterminated. The report continues, saying that the instructor who defeated the Rat King that time was Wu Tiancheng, a high-level biological genificator, and that in his battle, he did not waste words and went straight at the Rat King, who, having little he could do, was struck by Wu Tiancheng's massive attack. The operation lasted only 30 seconds. Lin Zixin realizes that this is the power of someone at a high level and that it is indeed very impressive. Later, at the complex, one of the members asks Wu Tiancheng whether he has any information about the professor. He takes his tea and replies that there is still no sign, and that the group of specialists who went to contain the outbreak in Origin Zone 36 also remains missing. The complex member then wants to know how the situation is over there. Tiancheng says that it is relatively under control, because if it were not, he thinks he would not even have time to be there dealing with the remnants that escaped during the chaos. The captain takes a deep breath and comments that the Rat King, who left the city's entire public security without any response, was nothing more than an insignificant remnant compared to a genius like Tiancheng at an advanced level. Having said that, he runs up to him, hugs him, and suggests that since he is there, why not take the opportunity to give a lecture at his old university? Tiancheng replies that he is not idle and still has work to do, but the captain keeps insisting for Tiancheng to speak to the freshmen to give them a boost. Meanwhile, in an underground location, a completely bizarre place, the Rat King is on the ground, trembling all over, while hearing someone say that at first he only attacked beggars and wanderers, then started going after fresher meat, and in the end, wanted to go after the cream of society, only the well-nourished and protected. At that moment, a huge creature approaches the Rat King and emphasizes that he went to the trouble of bringing him there to expand his race and dig tunnels. And yet, the Rat King came up with this idea of devouring humans, drawing a lot of attention. A massive mutant orc raises his foot and tells the Rat King to speak the truth, then asks whether he does not think he deserves to be eliminated. The Rat King starts trembling even more with fear and, with a shaky voice, begs his master to give him one more chance. The orc replies that maybe it is even worth thinking about, but makes it clear that the Rat King will have to pay the price for the failure. As soon as he takes one of the creature's eyes, he comments that he knows rat eyes are stinky, but while eating, emphasizes that they are quite delicious. Next, he grabs the Rat King and makes it clear that he is quite intelligent, since he was hiding behind the scenes while letting his brother act as the Rat King and be eliminated by him. And while bringing his hand close to the creature's eyes, he emphasizes that if he does not obediently dig a tunnel, he will be eliminated. The next day, the MC is walking around the school, and the students want to know if he is not the guy who dared to challenge everyone to a duel. Lin Zixin is attentive, fiddling with his phone, as he is looking at information about the 9 fugitives of the Rat God cult, each of whom has a bounty ranging from 5,000 to 500,000 yuan. The MC thinks about this walking bounty of 500,000, but even so, knows that if he runs into one of them, it is better not to draw attention and just go along calmly. And as soon as the time for the challenge arrives, many people are there to watch. Lin Zixin notices that many people indeed showed up, but wonders whether anyone will try to challenge him. Shanqing Han asks people to participate in the challenge and try to win various prizes. Some students get euphoric, saying they heard that one of the prizes would be a PS5 and iPhones. Then a guy shouts saying he wants to challenge the MC, but a girl suddenly appears saying she wants to go first and kicks the guy who shouted first. It does not take long before several girls come running wanting to challenge the MC. Quickly, Lin Zixin is surrounded by several female students wanting to challenge him. Then, one of them grabs his arm and thinks that she finally touched him, while another tries to get his attention in a different way. Lin Zixin starts to get annoyed, thinking that this is getting quite strange, and while concentrating some power in his palm, thinks that he does not want to hit girls, but for the sake of his achievement, he will have no other choice. Thus, he lands the first attack on one, then another, and finishes off the rest, and soon apologizes to all of them. After defeating them, he sees the progress on his system, which is at 309 points out of a maximum of 1,000. The girls get up from the ground and shout, wanting a rematch. But the MC becomes serious and makes it clear that people who have already been defeated will not be able to fight again, which makes all the girls think he is being quite mean with this decision. Then some older students get nervous and want to know whether the MC will keep this courage after facing them. However, as expected, Lin Zixin defeats each one with just a single punch, and, after some time, he defeats several and soon asks who will be next, until a guy appears saying he wants to try. As he jumps into the ring, the students comment that he is the emperor of the second-year elite class, Yan Xiaoshuan, and soon want to know which of the two will win. One of the students replies that he thinks it will be Yan Xiaoshuan, since the common and elite classes of the second year are at a completely different level, because in the previous year, Yan Xiaoshuan defeated an entire class by himself, but in the end, he was defeated by Chen Wuxing, who was a year older. As soon as he enters the ring, Yan Xiaoshuan tells the MC that he was once arrogant just like him, then emphasizes that only after getting beaten up did he learn that there is always someone stronger. Lin Zixin just stays quiet, and while Yan Xiaoshuan keeps talking a lot, the MC asks the professor if he can start, and he answers yes. Thus, without wasting time, Lin Zixin lands a flying kick right in the middle of Yan Xiaoshuan's face, sending him flying out of the ring. The kick was so strong that the student was pinned to the wall. The MC feels quite disappointed, thinking that the guy was actually very weak after all. The surrounding students are left perplexed, unable to believe what they just saw. At that moment, someone starts clapping, and soon everyone realizes it is Chen Wuxing, and they think he is there just to take revenge on Yan Xiaoshuan, besides knowing that the fight will be very good, since Chen Wuxing is the #1 in the school. Lin Zixin, upon hearing that the guy clapping is #1, starts wondering whether the situation he is in is not one of those where someone beats up the kid and then the older brother comes to settle the score. Quickly, the big guy enters the ring saying that he did not expect Yan Xiaoshuan to lose to the MC, but Lin Zixin does not even care and asks the professor if they can already start the fight. Chen Wuxing goes crazy with rage, calling the MC and saying that he has not finished talking yet, but the professor starts the fight anyway. Thus, as he charges forward with everything, Chen Wuxing says that apparently the MC will have to get beaten to be able to listen to him, and when their blows collide, an immense power echoes throughout the entire arena, but the MC apologizes, saying he is in a hurry, then applies more force to his strike, which sends Chen Wuxing flying away. He cannot believe the boy's strength and shouts that this is impossible. All the students around freeze in fear at the same time, but Lin Zixin tells them to stop making stupid faces and hurry up and come face him. A student among the others wants to know if the MC is really challenging him. He answers yes, and emphasizes that he has not fought yet. While climbing into the ring with great fear, he asks Lin Zixin to be gentle. The MC thinks that since the student had the courage to face him, he thinks he will have a chance to win one of the prizes. But as soon as the professor announces the start of the fight, the MC defeats the guy with just one blow, gaining another point in the progress of the survival of the fittest achievement. The students suddenly get excited and shout that because the MC is awesome, they think it will not be shameful to lose to him, and that they really want to win one of the prizes. And so, they begin to climb into the ring one by one. In the same way, Lin Zichen defeats everyone with just one blow, until the system informs that, in the most primitive method of formal competition known to living beings, the MC defeated 1,000 different opponents and had the mission completed. Lin Zichen gets very excited when he sees that he finally managed to obtain the biological attribute of survival of the fittest. He also sees that survival of the fittest increases the damage he deals to other living beings. But unfortunately, it does not specify exactly how much the damage increases. Next, he jumps out of the ring and informs that the tournament is over and that everyone can go home. Then, he takes Shanqing Han by the hand and leaves. Upon returning to the school, they go to the principal's office. She laughs, congratulates the MC, and says that he managed to take the title of #1 in the school for himself. Having said that, she points out that Lin Zichen even defeated Chen Wuxing with one blow, and therefore wants to know if he is truly hiding his strength. The MC, while drinking some tea, answers that it is just a little, but the principal comments that she thinks it is more than just a little, since Chen Wuxing recently took the special admission exam for the capital's university and managed to lift 690 kilograms with just one hand. Thus, she emphasizes that she would say the MC can lift at least 800 kilograms with just one hand. Lin Zichen comments that the principal's insight is blessed and informs that he can lift 795 kilograms, but knows that he still cannot let her know about his true strength. The principal laughs and says that she knew it, but the MC soon raises his hand and asks about the 8,810 yuan and when they will be transferred. The principal replies that she will transfer it immediately, but thinks that this brat only thinks about money. Next, she makes it clear to the MC that from that moment on, he will represent the school. But Lin Zichen interrupts her and says that he and Shen Qinghan really like swimming, so he wants to know if the principal could let them use the gym pool, but he wants them to be able to use it whenever they want, and that while they are using it, the pool wing cannot be opened to anyone else. The principal comments that she already understands and agrees to his request. Lin Zichen wonders why the principal is agreeing so easily, then says that he does not like being watched when he is in his swimming trunks, and that therefore, when they are using the pool, he will cover the security cameras there. The principal thinks that a boy and a girl alone is already one thing, but wanting to even cover the cameras, and wonders whether he is not thinking what she is thinking, but comments that since the MC wants it so much, she will comply with his demands. She then informs that from that moment on, it will be an exclusive pool for the two of them, but asks the boy to be careful not to increase the population. The MC does not understand anything, but after leaving the principal's office, Lin Zichen looks at the key and thinks that now he can finally find out what Shen Qinghan's ability is. Then she comments that she needs to ask him something. Shen Qinghan says that she signed up for a singing competition and, since she got used to the music, she wanted to find someone to help her practice the duet part, so she wants to know if the MC could help her. He answers yes, and she becomes very happy, but Lin Zichen thinks that his friend seems to care a lot about this competition and that, because of that, he really hopes this will make her more confident. Later, at Shen Qinghan's house, the MC is helping her with the duet, and in the living room, Shen Qinghan's father comments to his wife that the MC and his daughter have already grown a lot, so he wonders whether it is a bit inappropriate for a boy and a girl to be alone in the same room. Xu Meng becomes serious and makes it clear that the two are childhood friends and have played together since they can remember, so she wants to know what right someone his age has to opine about this. Next, she gets even angrier and recommends that her husband worry less about it. He feels embarrassed and immediately apologizes. However, the MC hears all of this, so he comments to Shen Qinghan that they have practiced enough and that it is already time to start studying. Having said that, he informs her that the next day after school, they will go to the pool to get used to the water, but emphasizes that Shen Qinghan needs to remember to bring a swimsuit. After the MC leaves, Shen Qinghan feels a little embarrassed about the pool and, as soon as she goes to her wardrobe, wonders what she should wear. After taking a few swimsuit pieces, she has difficulty choosing which one to use, and, upon picking one of the pieces, thinks that it is very revealing. And when imagining herself wearing it with the MC, she becomes very embarrassed. However, since she knows that Lin Zichen will be the only one there, she decides to go with the swimsuit piece she picked up. The next day, in the pool wing, Lin Zikin is already there and did what he told the principal, covering the cameras. Then he is surprised to hear someone calling him, but soon sees that it is Shanqing Han. She apologizes for the delay. Lin Zikin tells her to go slowly so she does not slip, but thinks that she looks very cute in the swimsuit. Next, he calls her to enter the water to train. As soon as they enter, they dive very deep. Lin Zikin holds her hand, but something happens that draws Shanqing Han's attention, so she pokes the MC's arm and makes a hand signal to return to the surface. Lin Zikin holds her and quickly goes up. As soon as both come out, the MC wants to know what happened. Shanqing Han says that it seems the water is passing through her body. She then decides to show it, taking some water in her palm, and indeed the water passes through Shanqing Han's hand. She finds it strange and soon wants to know why this is happening to her body. Lin Zikin is also intrigued, wondering whether it could be Shanqing Han's power. Therefore, he asks to see her hand, but upon examining it, he realizes that besides water being able to pass through her hand, there is nothing wrong. Then, he calls her to get out of the pool to see if other parts of her body can also be passed through by water. Shanqing Han feels a little embarrassed, but agrees with him. When she lies down on the floor, the MC starts splashing water on various parts of his friend's body. She is a little uncomfortable with the situation and asks if this will take long. Lin Zikin comments that they have already tried 3 times, and that, apparently, her body still seems normal. Having said that, he helps her up and emphasizes that it seems that, for now, only her hands have this ability. As soon as they sit on the edge of the pool, Shanqing Han calls the MC and comments that since she was little, she has never been able to hold it in to go to the bathroom, so she wants to know whether another part of her body might also be permeable to water. Lin Zikin comments that the next time she cannot hold it in, she should remember to tell him, but he soon changes the way he spoke and emphasizes that she should try to feel it for herself and see if any part of her body is in the same situation as her hands. He says this, but keeps thinking that he almost ended up speaking like a pervert. Shanqing Han thinks that, in other words, she is not a bedwetting girl, but rather a user of some power related to water. And, looking at the MC, she reflects that perhaps someday, when her powers develop, she will be able to stand side by side with Lin Zikin and become his perfect second half. After that, night arrives. The market vendor welcomes someone, but ends up being quite surprised when a black card is thrown in front of her. It is the MC saying that he wants to buy 50 kilograms of Tyrant eagle meat, but emphasizes that it should be delivered to the address on the card. And, as soon as he leaves, the vendor realizes that it is the same boy from last time and wonders which family the extravagant young master is from. A few hours later, the vendor goes to deliver the order and asks the MC to give a good rating to her service. And, as soon as the order is delivered, Lin Zikin reflects that, with his writer's salary that arrived in the morning, he earned 120,000 won and still has 210,000 in total. And, upon opening the box, he knows that it is enough to buy 50 kilograms of Tyrant eagle meat. And, without wasting any more time, as he places his hand on the meat to assimilate it, he wonders what he will receive upon unlocking the assimilation. The system soon informs that he obtained a large amount of Tyrant eagle vital essence, and, because of this, the assimilation with the animal reached 100%. Lin Zikin feels as if he were water flying over the ocean, which, as soon as it spots its prey, lunges forward, and, with its powerful talons, it manages to grab the creature easily from the ocean. Next, the system informs that, as the MC assimilated with the Tyrant eagle, he obtained the biological attribute of the celestial eye, which greatly increases the MC's field of vision and panoramic sight. Lin Zikin soon decides to test it, and, from high above, begins observing various people on the city's central street. He then focuses on a guy who is fiddling with his phone and even manages to see what he is viewing on the screen, then realizes that an eagle's vision is indeed very powerful. After that, he returns to his home, and upon going to the living room, sees his parents watching TV. A news report is informing that recently, a third-generation gene modifier suffered a mutation in public, causing hundreds of casualties. The report also shows a meeting in which a man is telling the others that gene fusion is the wrong path, since, throughout history, only monsters desired to obtain a human form, which is precisely why no one wants to become a monster. For, since they managed to find the right path to develop human potential, they will also be able to evolve into superior beings. However, a scientist does not like hearing this very much, and soon stands up, saying that this is all imagination from the man who spoke before. So, he wants to know if he is saying that they should rely on ordinary martial artists who cannot even block bullets to fight against terrifying beasts instead of gene modifiers. The MC's father, seeing this, comments that, to be fair, he thinks gene modifiers are indeed like uncontrollable bombs, since when they undergo a mutation, it is the same as a disaster. Zhang Wanxin comments that she thinks her husband is worrying for nothing, because the state's control over this is very strict, and the probability of this happening is minimal. Then she emphasizes that instead of worrying about mutations, she thinks he should worry more about how gene modifiers will continue their lineage, because in the end, they lost their reproductive abilities. Lin Yansheng agrees with her and suggests that, in that case, gene modifiers need to save some samples before gene fusion or find a partner and have children before that. At that moment, the MC's mother is surprised when she looks back and, seeing that her son has just arrived, feels a bit awkward and tries to cover it up, but thinks about how they ended up talking about such inappropriate things in front of their son. The MC's father also feels awkward and says that since Lin Zichen has arrived, they can go eat. As soon as everyone sits down to eat, the MC says that his school will have a singing competition the next day and that Shanqing Han will participate. The MC's father comments that, then, everyone there needs to go cheer for her. Zhang Wanxin agrees and emphasizes that Shen Qinghan is like a daughter to her as well. While eating, the MC just watches his parents happily. The next day, at the time of Shen Qinghan's singing competition, the MC's father and mother are already there, with a huge sign asking Shen Qinghan to do her best. Meanwhile, the MC is with her in a room, and, while he is doing her makeup, she feels embarrassed and asks why he is watching her. Lin Zixin smiles and replies that it is because she is beautiful, which makes her even more embarrassed. Suddenly, Li Chuxin appears asking if the two of them are already done with their flirting. Shen Qinghan does not know where to hide her face and tries to explain, saying that she only asked for the MC's help because he is good at doing makeup, and emphasizes that they are not flirting there. Li Chuxin laughs and comments that the two are practically a couple, and therefore wants to know why they are playing this little game of disinterest. Lin Zichen grabs the makeup and strikes a pose as if he were a makeup master, and says that skills are never too many. But Li Chuxin runs off, saying that she does not want to be a third wheel, and that she only came to remind them that there are two people ahead of Shen Qinghan, and that it will soon be her turn to go on stage. She says this and leaves. After finishing doing his friend's makeup, the MC comments that he will leave so she can finish getting ready. Shen Qinghan stands up, embarrassed and with her whole body trembling, and unintentionally bumps into the MC and, while peeing her clothes, comments that she could not hold it again. Then, as she starts to cry, she wants to know what she will do, because it is almost time for her performance with Li Chuxin, and since she just peed her clothes, she thinks that she will definitely hate her. Lin Zixin asks his friend to stop crying, because it will ruin the makeup. Then the MC looks at a curtain on the window and immediately gets an idea. So he goes to one of the desks, grabs a pair of scissors, and then pulls down the curtain. After placing it over some tables, he starts cutting. It does not take long, and he soon makes a dress out of the curtain. Then he asks Shen Qinghan to go to the bathroom and change. She comments that it is fine, and that she will change right there, but that he just needs to turn around for a moment. The MC feels embarrassed immediately and quickly turns around. Shen Qinghan starts taking off her clothes, and both feel embarrassed. But soon she finishes changing and asks him to turn around. Shen Qinghan thanks him and emphasizes that maybe it is because she just cried, but that she is no longer so nervous. He asks her to go on stage and sing in a way the world has never seen, and so she starts the show with Li Chuxin. And after everyone has performed, the two of them are announced as the champions of that year's singing competition. Lin Zixin applauds his friend with great pride. Meanwhile, a teacher enters the room where the MC was with Shen Qinghan and immediately wants to know who the bastard was who cut the curtains. The next day, the two of them are cleaning up the mess they made. The MC remembers the teacher asking to consider that as an apology for the curtains and the mess they made in the room. Then he is surprised by a system notification informing him that he completed 1,000 joint events and acquired the biological attribute of the socializing monster. Lin Zixin thinks this was a great unexpected gain. Later, while Shun Qinghan walks down the school hallway with her friends, they comment that Shun Qinghan's voice is indeed very beautiful, so they want to know if she can teach them. And, with that, the singing competition greatly helps Shun Qinghan regain her confidence. And, with the return of her confidence, her martial arts also began to improve steadily. The MC, on the other hand, won several martial arts competitions and earned a place at the school to display his achievements. After that, he signed a contract to be the promoter of He Yu's family martial arts dojo, and the advance payment from the contract, together with the royalties he received from writing novels, totaled 900,000 yuan. Lin Zixin knew that this should be enough to unlock his next assimilation, which he soon bought and requested delivery for. And this time, the beast he chose was the Hidden Dragon, a lizard famous for its concealment ability, and as soon as he devoured a large amount of the Hidden Dragon's vital essence, he achieved assimilation with the creature. Now that the MC has managed to unlock assimilation with the Hidden Dragon, he obtained the biological attribute of natural camouflage, which allows the MC to reduce his presence by lowering the vitality in his body, and can also use it to hide his biological rank. Thus, Lin Zixin knows that he can now diminish his presence, allowing him to avoid or ambush enemies and also conceal his rank. After that, he knew he had already done what he wanted, but that he still had not bought the cake his mother asked for. Then, he hears someone shouting, telling another person not to move. Several public security guards handcuff a woman. One of the guards is Zhang Kai, who immediately recognizes the MC as he passes by him and calls out to him. Lin Zixin is intrigued by one thing, since he notices that the senior's legs have become robotic. He explains that some time ago he failed his university entrance exam and became a delinquent biker for a period, and because of that, he ended up crashing his motorcycle, breaking his legs and having to amputate them. Then he comments that fortunately, he ended up participating in the modification experiment of the Deus Mecha Mechanical Group, emphasizing that he would never have imagined going from a paraplegic person to a mechanically modified person. The MC comments that he understands, but wants to know who the woman being arrested is. Zhang Kai says that the woman is one of the remnants of the rat god cult, and that she is the only woman among the 9 who remain. Then one of Zhang Kai's superiors calls him and asks him to stop chatting, because they are already leaving. He says goodbye to the MC and runs off. Lin Zixin thinks that the Public Security Department has been doing its best to capture the remaining members of the rat god cult, and that, so far, they have not succeeded. Yet the Deus Mecha group captured one of them so easily. He then concludes that apparently, this Deus Mecha group cannot be underestimated. At that moment, he notices his phone ringing. When he answers, he sees that it is his mother asking whether he bought the cake and what time he will arrive. The MC replies that he is going to buy it and will return as soon as he gets the cake. And as soon as he does that, he returns home. And since he and Shun Qinghan were born only one day apart, every year the two families get together to celebrate their birthdays. But that year, the 18th birthday of both of them was no exception. Shun Qinghan takes a gift and says it is for him. Lin Zixin does the same and comments that he hopes she likes it. Then, out of nowhere, everyone feels a strong tremor and wonders whether it could be an earthquake. Lin Zixin becomes serious and thinks that he is sure something is wrong. Meanwhile, beneath the city of Shanghai, several rats are digging a tunnel. The next day, a news report on TV informs that, according to experts, the recent tremor measured 4.2 on the Richter scale, and that what happened in the city of Shanghai was just a normal and weak earthquake, and that since the city of Shanghai is not located on tectonic plates, the probability of a major earthquake occurring is low, but they ask citizens not to panic. After finishing eating, the MC tells his parents that he is going to school. They ask him to take care and have a good day. As soon as he goes outside, Shun Qinghan appears calling him to go to school together, and while they walk, Shun Qinghan comments that since they have turned 18, they are now adults. Lin Zixin replies that yes, and emphasizes that they will soon have the college entrance exam. And after some time, the MC finally saved enough money to unlock the assimilation with the void eel. And as soon as he consumes a large amount of the void eel's vital essence, he achieves assimilation. And, as usual, after unlocking assimilation with an animal, Lin Zicken obtains the biological attribute of danger sense, in which, within a certain range, he can sense the hostility of other creatures and is more sensitive to the pressure they emit, making it easier to determine the level of the hostile creature. The MC knows that this should be very useful for preventing sneak attacks, so he soon decides to go to the mall to test this. And, as he had thought, there are practically only normal people there, and because of that, he starts wondering what he should choose for the next assimilation, until he considers that maybe he should obtain the healing ability of the undead worm, but he knows that this is far too expensive, since even with his monthly salary of 100 million yuan as an author, it will not be enough. And because of that, he thinks that apparently he will need to find a way to increase his income after the college entrance exam. Meanwhile, at the university and in the minister's office, she is hearing that the academic performance of the cities in Nanjiang province that year is practically the same as the previous year, and that the city of Tianjin continues to be the leader, followed by Changzhou, Nanwan, Shanghai, Daoshan, and finally, Haiyuan. This is Yuan Dongji, Vice Director of Shanghai University and the leader of education in Nanjiang province. Next, the professor presents the report on the educational situation of that year in the cities of the province. She takes the floor and says that he did an excellent job, but the professor wants to know what the situation is like within Central Field number 36. She replies that it is more or less stabilized, since she thinks that if it were not, she would not even have time to go check the province's university entrance exam. The professor thinks that this is great, since he believes that if she had not gone there, the entire Nanjiang province would have been finished. Yuan Dongji comments that since they are done with the matter, the professor can return to his work. He replies that he understands and emphasizes that she can call him if she needs anything. After he leaves, Yuan Dongji thinks that now that she has stopped to reflect, it has been many years since she last had a disciple. Then she looks out the window and watches the waves of the sea. After that, the martial arts college entrance exam lasts a total of 9 days. On the first day, during the morning, there is the written exam to test the student's theoretical knowledge. During the afternoon, the physical exam is conducted to evaluate physical attributes. From the 2nd to the 8th day, a combat assessment is carried out that lasts a week, and all candidates from the province will be sent to a forest to test their survival. And finally, on the 9th day, there is the aptitude test for gene fusion and mechanical modifications. And on that day, June 7th, it is the first day of the college entrance exam for the MC and Shanqing Han. And as soon as they arrive at the college, she tugs on the MC's shirt and with a trembling voice says that she is very nervous and asks if she will end up peeing herself during the exam. Lin Zishan hugs her and asks her not to be nervous. Then he emphasizes that her theoretical knowledge is very good and that, besides that, she is wearing a diaper, so he wants her to just focus and do her best. She agrees and emphasizes that she will do her best, but that he should do so as well. After that, the MC begins the theoretical test, which does not take long to finish, and he thinks that there is still a long time before the next exam, so he thinks it is better to plan the story of his novel. As soon as he leaves the room, he sees Shanqing Han and wonders if she did well on the exam. So he goes to her and makes it clear that both of them are martial arts students, and that, therefore, she just needs to pass the written exam. She says that she did very well, and that he does not need to comfort her, which intrigues him, making him want to know why she is so pale. Completely embarrassed, she replies that she peed. Having said that, she asks him to wait, as she will go to the bathroom and be right back. In the afternoon, the MC's final result in the one-handed weightlifting test was 950 kilograms, which left several nearby students impressed, since, besides seeing the MC lift all that weight, he ran 100 meters in 5.12 seconds and jumped 4 meters and 91 centimeters in the vertical jump. Shen Qinghan appears, and Lin Zishan immediately wants to know how she did. She smiles and says that she ran the 100 meters in 9.32 seconds, jumped 1 meter and 62 centimeters in the vertical jump, and finally lifted 125 kilograms in the one-handed weightlifting. The MC places his hand on her head and emphasizes that she is already one of the best female students. At that moment, Yu appears calling the two of them and saying that they can already see the results of the written exam. Then he says that he heard that Wang Shuji and Lu Gang scored more than 80 points, and that he almost reached them as he scored exactly 80, but wants to know how much they scored. Shanqing replies that she will check and quickly becomes happy and says that she scored 82, which leaves Yu surprised, since she scored more points than him. But then they turn to wanting to know how much the MC scored. He shows that he scored 100 points, and while Shanqing is happy for him, Yu cannot believe that, once again, Lin Zichen was incredible and continues to be a monster. After leaving and while walking through the city, Shanqing comments that the combat assessment will begin the next day, and that, because of that, she keeps imagining which part of the forest the test will be in. The MC asks her not to worry about that, because he will stay with her to protect her. Meanwhile, in some secret location in the city, two men are talking, and the man with the black bird mask comments that the combat assessment will begin the next day, and that because of that, when the time comes, he makes it clear to the other man that he must make good use of his identity as a security officer to help stop and control 10 of the geniuses. And as soon as he hands over a box, he says that inside there are 10 demonic seeds. And while the security officer opens the box, the masked man emphasizes that they will be of great help. Having said that, he emphasizes that if the man in front of him handles the situation well, he will recommend him to the upper echelons and also let him become an official member of the organization. The officer says that he is not in a hurry to become an official member, since what he needs at the moment is an anomalous fruit. The masked man calls the man young and comments that it seems he does not have a very broad vision, since a single anomalous fruit can, at best, help him evolve to a normal tier 7. But by joining the organization, becoming a creature of a higher level will not be impossible. The man swallows hard and, a little afraid, ends up agreeing and says that it is more advantageous to become an official member of the organization.